Hello, and before you get started on this episode of Zapped to the Past, we would just like to give a massive shout out to the following people: Andy Marsh, Cole Hutchinson, David Hearn, Sven Osa, 2000 DC, Gary Heather, Roger McNally, Lee Dove, Ben Granville, Mark Fletcher, Etienne Vettingfeld, Niall Bullitt, Alexander Gosling, Tim TJ Walker, Phil Sowerby, Joshua K, Dominic Kendrick, Rune P, Nick James, Daniel Spreadbury, Peter Price, Richard Davey, Dennis B, AL82 Retro, Liam Carew, Dylan Darch, Alistair McMillan, Mark Schultz, Dan Wales, Gary Wilson, Oscar Jacobson, Brian Howarth, Clyde Radcliffe, where's my manners? Juan Luis Sanchez, Adam Askew, Leo Staples, Jason Hutchins, David Stringer, Chris Snowden, David Winter, Mike's Vintage Tech, John Ebbs, Kian Halholm, Runester71, and Pete Muller. These amazing people have backed our Patreon at the C64 tier. The support they offer is just awesome. If you want to join them, get a mention in next month's shout out, access to our Discord server, early access to ad-free episodes, along with any special releases we put out, along with anything else we can think of, and that includes contributing to episode 200, which is coming up soon. Then sign up by the 18th of the month at patreon.com/Zap to the Past for way less than the price of a pint of beer. Now, on with the show. And welcome to episode 195 of Zapped to the Past. I am Adrian Mills. I'm joined as always by Mr. Graham Raddings. If you haven't listened before, this is a podcast where we discuss games that were released for the Commodore 64. 2 weeks ago, we looked at our first batch of games from issue 79 of Zap 64, which we're in no way affiliated with, and we're supremely satisfied with Smash TV, felt fatal flatulence in Final Fight, and put bat to ball once again in Tony La Russa's Ultimate Baseball. This week we continue our look at the games in December 1991, along with what was also lighting up our TV and cinema screens in November 1991. Graham, it seems like quite a confrontational week of games, but tell us whether any of these are worth fighting for.
Here we go again. The second part of the month with no Zap is here. The end half of November 1991. Bonfire night has come and gone, leaving the streets smelling like a soggy mixture of damp, burned out firework carcass with a hint of home display disappointment. So in a month that saw the start of construction for the Keck 2 Super Telescope at Mauna Kea in Hawaii, we juice upon some roids, grow out a bright yellow mustache, and lube into some extremely tight shorts before we enter the mighty ring of wrestling for some C64 grappling action in WWF. Then head to the muddy fields and giant H's of Twickenham as we take on the burly might of teams from all over the world in a global giant egg chase with Rugby, the World Cup. You know, we only ever had a home firework display once, and my dad said at the time it would have been better off setting fire to 30 quid and shouting bang. He wasn't wrong, but the only fun memory I have being when the Catherine wheel flew off and span into next door's garden, setting fire to their dustbin. I can still hear us laughing over the sirens of the fire engine. Anyway, while I reminisce on how much damage we actually may have caused that night, we grab our weapons and shells, slip on some ninja masks because we are ninjas, and dive into the battle-strewn streets for a fight in Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, the coin-op, before finally we nip to the arcades to see the very latest in digitized animation, and then nip back home for some ham-on-ham beat-em-up action in the outright horrible brown C64 conversion of Pit Fighter. There is a lot of burl and a lot of meat in this episode. Wrestlers, rugby players, ninjas, fighting hams. I've grown a mustache from the exposure and my voice is a full octave deeper. And as for Ady, well, he's just laid a full-on man egg. What is that? I hope we never find out. Now, shh, he's nesting it.
Or even worth saying, well.
Fighting? You You got there in the end. Who's fighting?
Are these fighting? Is it worth going out on the streets and campaigning for these games, Graham? Is that what you're doing?
I don't know.
For them?
I don't think it
fighting
is.
for the right for these?
For some reason, I don't know why, it's just reminded me of the time we saw a giant fight a dwarf at a fantasy event. Just reminded me of that. I don't know why it did, but it did.
We did see that.
People don't believe me when I say that we saw that, and yet we did see it. It did happen. Yeah. I didn't imagine it.
No, we were all there.
Even Gary was there. And for once, he wasn't the dwarf.
No, he wasn't.
So he wasn't him. He wasn't.
No, was he the giant?
He wasn't. He was neither. No, he's the smallest giant, actually. No, that's what we say.
Yeah, he is. It's a giant among his peers.
He is.
But
of all the Diddy men, he was the biggest.
Yeah, true. But we had a shit fighting game last week, didn't we? Which annoyed you. Final fight. I reckon we might have another one this week.
I think you might be right. And I have to tell you, I'm going to pre-warn you and preempt this a little bit. Just prepare yourself for when we get to that, because it gets quite vitriolic, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
It might get a little blue.
it might do. But we're in that strange month where we've got 4 weeks worth of games to cover.
Yeah.
2 months worth. And we get closer to the end. We get closer to the end of this whole endeavor.
And I was listening back to some of our early episodes. I was listening back to around episode 30-ish. Principally because somebody had asked me, what's a good place to start? And I was like, well, you can start at the beginning if you want, but if you want to, we find our feet a bit by about episode 30. So I was like, so probably around there. Although you do miss out on some good episodes. So start at the beginning, but just remember that the early ones were a little bit less produced than the new ones. But when I went back to listen to it, on one of those episodes, I think we reviewed about 40 games. We must have been knackered.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely low. And that's it. Well, so it's not 14 one episode, but I think there was something like 16 or 17 games 14, in one episode.
I think 14 is the most.
There's loads of them.
Yeah, we did. I think the biggest issue we ever did was, and we did it in 3 weeks, was 42 games or something.
Yeah, that's right. Because there was like Floyd the Droid was one of them. Do you remember Floyd the Droid? And I can't remember.
I do remember Floyd the Droid.
We sort of half liked it, but the reviews were a lot shorter. We don't go through the instructions. There's a lot of format changes we've done over the years.
Yeah. Well, we've got more space and time now. If we'd have done that back then, those podcasts would have been 10 hours long.
would have still been doing them now.
We would have. If we'd have had to split it down into like four game weeks, we would have been going till about 2030.
Well, yeah, can you imagine if we went through the instructions to Starglider? We'd be talking like this now. And then in the third phase of the development of Starglider by Rainbird.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it was a different time, Graham. Different time.
It was.
People
it was
were
a different time. It was
COVID.
It was lockdown, wasn't it? Lockdown when we first started, wasn't it? You remember that?
So we had more time to play games.
And I noticed on our little outro, it still says we're on Twitter and Stay Safe, which were, Twitter didn't exist anymore, and it's that in its old name. And Stay Safe was a comment because everyone was locked down at the time. I probably should change that really, but I might not. No.
Leave it. It reminds me of Hill Street Blues.
Yeah. Plus, we're not part of your corporate shilling.
Be careful out there.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not part of the bloody corporate takeover of the world with X and all that silly and one letter domain names. Where's that going to go? Where are you going to go with that?
Yeah. It's just 2 more X's and you're into a whole different territory.
Well, it's not a domain name, is it? It's a domain letter. So just remember that, Mr. Musk.
Yeah, true. I did notice the other day as well that I don't know what, because Twitter doesn't know what to put at me sort of thing, because I don't really look at stuff. So for the For You stuff, or just throw stuff at me, a lot of it was suddenly like, you can't see this unless you prove you're 18. I was like, I don't know what you're trying to show me. What is it?
Oh, yeah. That'll be because of the online safety bill, right? Is it kicked in?
Yeah, the UK's online safety bill, yeah. Which will soon affect consoles as well. You'll have to prove you're 18 on the Xbox and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, despite me having a credit.
I'm
sure I'll be all right because I've got a credit card hooked up to it. So, but yeah, you're going to have to prove it. Otherwise, you won't be able to play online.
I wonder how they're going to get people to prove that. I suppose they'll have to put credit card information in or something. Or
yeah, I don't know how it's going to work with family stuff because my son's 16, but I by this point, it's just everything's turned off. Do what you want.
Maybe you have to have one. What was that camera called you used to have for the Xbox? What was it called? I remember that came with that weird camera for a while that everyone's like, that's going to be the future. And then the Kinect, yeah, it was the future, wasn't it, for about a week, and everyone was like, it's rubbish and it's dead slow and there's no games for it. And Milo, what the hell's all that anyway?
Yeah. No one knows.
So yeah, but remember, I mentioned if you need to if you've got a Kinect, plug it in, and we'll do it like the Co-op do, where they look at you and go, "Have you got any ID, love?" And you're like, "I haven't." "Oh, sorry, can't play this game." Out you go, bye.
But I just bought it. Yeah, Dad, come in, put your face in front of the screen. Oh, not again. What rubbish you playing, son?
Here's a printout of my face. Just use that.
Although people have been getting around it, I've been reading how people have been getting around it, and one of the ways to get around it is through taking their phone up to the camera and using a 3D face generator of an old person and just going, it's going, oh, yes, you're clearly a 64-year-old man.
Yeah, I'll just connect to every service via a VPN, but I suppose you can't do that if you're using localized connections for networks and things. Because Netflix is different, isn't it, and things like that. So it's all, they've got it stitched up. You're never going to escape the Matrix. They'll send Agent Smith after you, and he'll do that maniacal laugh and then replicate himself 1,000 times and beat you up in a park, unless you happen to be a ninja.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, not that we forgot to mention, but big thank you again to Michael John Nerney, or otherwise known as one of our patrons, Mike's Vintage Tech. He sent us through the post 16-bit stories, his follow-up to 8-bit stories.
Oh, wicked. Okay, is it obviously the same sort of deal? Is it about all the old hardware and that? I find that fascinating.
It's about mostly about the Atari ST and the Commodore Amiga. Says the I've not had a chance to read it yet. I've only got it the other day, and I'm sort of
weighty tome.
And I'm hip deep in marking and things at the moment. So I'm looking forward to finding some time and having a good read of this, because I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah,
it does pain me that I don't think there's any Sword of Japan in it. But,
well, maybe they just didn't do one. By that point, the Sword of Japan had gone, we're not making any more computers. Nobody knows us.
Yeah, but they should have kept going. They should have branched out the what would it could have called it, the mace of Japan, or the what's the
nunchuk.
The lance, the nunchuk, the nunchuk of Japan.
The lance
of Japan. Yeah, something like that. But no, I was going to say very big thank you for sending those through.
Yeah, massive thank you. That's ace.
Reading that. And I will get Graham's copy to him when I see him next.
Absolutely. And I'm assuming that's available to, for the regular folk on Amazon, and because that's where I think the previous one.
You can search on Amazon for it. It says just search for 16-bit stories on Amazon.com. We'll put a link in the show notes as well.
We will.
If you want to go get your own copy.
We must.
We will. I mean, I can't throw it to him, but I've got Brian Jacks coming around in a few days, so hopefully he can squat thrust a version to Graham.
Be careful, because that could alter the axes of the earth. We already had earthquakes. That's what it was. He tried it, and there was an earthquake in Russia.
That was down to Brian Jacks squat thrusting again. You never trust that guy. That's a callback, because I listened to the Brian Jacks review the other day and it made me laugh. But no, thank you very much, Michael. I'm very amazing. Looking forward to reading that, and we will see you again, hopefully at some show somewhere, point.
We'll be around at some point
and go to another one. But go to Amazon.com, just search for 16-bit stories or follow the link, which will be in our show notes. Thank you very much, Mike. Should we get on with some games? Because I think
we probably should. We've gone mad.
We should do, because that is what people are here for. We've got four more games this week. They are a bit fighting.
Aye.
So stay with us. Let's get into that very first game. And this is WWF.
The World Wildlife Fund, Adrian?
Absolutely. Well, yes, now known as the WWE to all and sundry. So as not to get confused with I found out it's actually called now the Worldwide Fund for Nature.
Yes, it is now. So it's WWN.
WWF for FN. It's just gone crazy.
And then when they saw that they were going to go back to the WWE, were going to go back to the old originals and the new originals.
We were the Thames. So certainly the Thamesmen. But it used to be the World Wildlife Fund, hence the thing. Anyway, this game comes from Ocean. It's for the price of £10.99, and it got 90%, Graham. It is a sizzler, this, no less. A sizzler.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. Got a sizzler.
Goodness. Wow. Goodness.
I know. My eyebrows are not raised at all. And this is kind of timely to get to cover, I guess, as last week. The man on the cover of this, Hulk Hogan, passed away. So
he did.
A bit of an odd coincidence that we hit this just at that point.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say much about him as a person. People have their own views, whatever. At the time, he was obviously the face of wrestling, and that's kind of where this is. I never watched American wrestling then, so I only really knew him as Thunder Lips from Rocky 3.
Yeah, he's Thunder Lips, the unfortunately named Thunder Lips.
Yeah, that's all I ever knew him as, because I never really watched American wrestling back then. I think by this point I was kind of aware of American wrestling. I think I'd seen it around either at your house or your friend's house. But WWF, things like the Royal Rumble had managed to make their way into British knowledge and culture. So I was a bit more aware of it. But yeah, he was always Thunder Lips to me. As noted, published by Ocean. It was developed by Twilight. Now, we've seen them a couple of times before. One recently. They did Darkman. They also did that other weird puzzle game, Plotting. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was coded by Finley Munro. He did Darkman again.
Finley Munro.
Finley Monroe. I don't know if the visuals did this. I'm guessing it must have been him. It must have been Finley Monroe because there's no credit for them. Finley Monroe.
Are you okay, Ainsley? I'm Finley.
But the music was by Gerard Gordley, who did the music for Spooked, Assault Course, Outlaw, and some others we have yet to see.
Yeah, he's about today.
Yeah, this was released at the time, most home computers. You got the Amiga, ST, Amstrad, Spectrum, DOS, and of course the C64. Now, I tested this both on disc and cartridge version, and let me tell you right now, play the cartridge version, unless you want to play with cheats, because the loading of this is a bloody pain on disc. The right nightmare. I didn't like that. The manual does some work in trying to set the scene for this. It says this, it goes, the thrills and spills of the World Wrestling Federation brought to your screen. Test your strength in this muscle-bound wrestling extravaganza. Become the undisputed champion as Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, or the British Bulldog. Battle for survival against Sergeant Slaughter, the Warlord, and a host, that's doing a lot of heavy lifting, of other WWF stars. Anything goes in this all-action event, and only the toughest survives. Okay.
Hey.
That's what it says. When the game first loads up, we get a nice intro sequence. We get some initial trademark info for the Ocean and WWF logo. And then we get this nice effect of spotlights playing across a crowd in the arena, which is actually it's a nice effect that is for revealing the arena itself. The music's, it's okay. It's just a bit weak. And I'm not sure it really fits a WWF game. It needed to be, if ever a game needed rock monitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
It needed a sort of bam, bam, bam. It needed that. It needed something rocky, but it hasn't got that. But it's the only bit of music you get, so like it or lump it, I suppose. Then we get some options for a 1 or 2 player game. Now, it's a weird thing here. 2-player mode is actually called practice mode in the instructions. And so the game lets you play as 3 wrestlers, as noted in the instructions: Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and the British Bulldog. A weird mix, but whatever. In 2-player mode, player 1 gets to choose from these, but player 2 is always Mr. Perfect.
Weird.
So, I'll explain. There's a reason for this, I think, and I'll come to it in a minute, which is a bit rubbish, because there's 5 opponents in the game. Mr. Perfect, the Warlord, $1 Million Man, the Mountie, and Sergeant Slaughter. And so why not let you pick from all 8 of these? You could have, the Mountie versus $1 Million Man, for example, or whatever. It's just 2 players, isn't it? I'll come to why I think it is in the moment. So if you pick the single-player mode, you can, again, select any of the 3 wrestlers listed above. So Hulk, Ultimate Warrior, or British Bulldog. And then this is the goal according to the instructions. In order to win the WrestleMania belt, you must beat 5 of the toughest and meanest wrestlers in the WWF. These opponents each have their own special moves and their own style of fighting. You will face these wrestlers in the following order. Mr. Perfect, his trademark move is the Perfect Plex. There's the Warlord, who does a full Nelson. There's the $1 Million Man, who does the $1 Million Man sleeper hold. There's the Mountie, who does a drop headlock. And the Sergeant Slaughter, who does a camel clutch, which sounds
I like the sound of that.
No, I don't know where you're clutching my camel. So anyway.
You clutch your own camel. Get off.
Get off me, Slaughter. Told you about that. Anyway, so just returning back to that 2-player mode, because this is a multi-load, all it's doing is loading in the first fight, the chosen wrestler versus Mr. Perfect, because they've not bothered to do a system where it can load in different pairings of wrestlers. That's why the player 2 always plays as Mr. Perfect. It's just loading that first fight in. Yeah, because when you quit back out of it, just goes back to the title screen. So I get that it would have been a pain on tape. I mean, I do think, if I remember rightly, didn't Championship Wrestling from Epix let you do that? I could be wrong.
Something similar.
I don't know if it did it on tape.
I think.
But I'm not sure. But you could have done it on disc. Surely on disc, being able to fight as who you wanted in 2-player mode should have been easily something that could have been included on the disc.
Random files from the disc, absolutely. Yeah,
just load in Mr. Perfect, load in $1 Million Man. Done. Why not have them all separate? But they've chosen not to. So, yeah, okay. Anyway, back to the single player, which is why you're probably going to play this. Once you've chosen your wrestler, which you do by seeing a couple of screens about them, it's got a decent enough C64 image at the top to show who they are. They look okay. Then we're on to the game itself. Loading is slow here on disc, because the first thing it needs to do is load a screen where you swap insults. It's really boring. Now, I get that this is part and parcel of WWF and the rivalries between the wrestlers, but they're just token lines, and they add very little and make no real difference to the upcoming fight, and they repeat, so nothing's personalised, which is a bit bad. So just to note that each of the 3 wrestlers that you can pick, they've also got their signature move. So Hulk Hogan has the leg drop of the ropes. This is copied straight out of the thing. Off the rope, sorry. Ultimate Warrior is the gorilla press. And the British Bulldog can do a running power slam.
Okay.
So after the verbal sparring, the main game loads. We get some perfunctory intro text to tell us who he's fighting, who, and we press fire to start the bout. I just want to state here as well, a lot of the text screens are marred by odd raster flickers across the screen as well, which is weird. Seems odd. It's nothing but text on the screen. Why is that happening? I don't know. Anyway, the game screen appears. We get a straight-on view of the ring looking down on it. There's little else on screen, 2 UI bars on the left and right of it to show each wrestler's remaining strength. And the timer and pin timer shown in the bottom part of like the stand for the ring at the bottom of the screen. Our 2 wrestlers come running on from either side. They climb into the ring. Sprites are decent, medium res wrestlers, pretty chunky, pretty big. I'm going to guess that each one is probably made up of 4 sprites because there's 8 and there's only them 2 things on the screen. Seems all right. The animation's okay, I guess. Once they're in the ring, they move to the center and the wrestling bout ensues. There's no music, just sound effects at this point. And you've got obviously a load of moves you can do. I'm just going to read from the instructions on the moves because it's probably easier because they are context sensitive. So when your wrestler is in the ring, you can walk around, joystick, up, down, left, right, and diagonals. Punch is stand still and fire. Kick is move and press fire. A drop kick is double fire and left or right. If you actually just press double fire, though, it crouches. I was doing that a lot, which is weird. And I couldn't get back up. Run left is double tap left. Run right is double tap right. Exit ring is push against the front ropes. Okay, so you can climb out the ring. When your wrestler is running, if you press fire, it's a flying knee. If you press a direction and fire, it does a flying kick. When your opponent is down, you can do a pin by moving over him, pulling down and pressing fire. You can stamp by moving over him and pressing fire. Or you can do a flying head kick by press fire while on top of the post. When you are near the post, you can just push towards it and it climbs up it. These are the corner posts, obviously. When you're on the post, if you press fire, it's a flying drop kick. If you push down, you just climb off it. So that's all you can do. And when you're outside the ring, you can push up against the ropes to get back in. There's a fair few moves that work when certain things happen, as you would expect in wrestling. The game is structured into single bouts. Each bout lasts for 5 minutes, and you have to pin your opponent in that time to proceed to the next bout. In order to pin someone, you need to knock their energy bar down and completely clear it. Even with a smidgen of health left, they will throw you off them should you knock them down and try to pin them for the 3 seconds needed. If you get pinned, if you get pinned for 3 seconds or the bout is not won within the 5 minutes, then you lose one of your 4 continues. You can then try again. If you lose all 4 continues, game over, back to the beginning. You can knock each other out of the ring. And indeed, like I said, climb out of the ring by pulling down when you're next to the bottom of the ropes and fight there if you want. So at this point, when you're out of the ring, you've got 20 seconds to get back in. Otherwise, you lose. You forfeit. You've got to get back in. You can knock people out of the ring as well, left and right. If you kick them towards, you're right near the edge of the ring, you kick them or something like that, they'll go flying out or punch them. And they'll come back running on from the bottom and climb back in. So like I said, you've got all the kicks and punches going on, but the main way this game and the main way wrestling kind of works is grappling. Okay, now you'll notice grappling is not mentioned in the instructions. It's kind of weird. But it does things, but there's a sort of sub little game in the grapple. So to grapple, you must just simply walk into the other wrestler. Just contact them. You'll go into an automatic grapple. So at this point, they grab each other. At the bottom of the screen, you'll get there's an icon up here, a little joystick icon will appear. And you've got to waggle like crazy to fill a bar next to the joystick. Okay, the first to get the bar full performs their signature move on the other for a good bit of damage, whatever. It throws them to the floor, knocks them out a bit. If you're knocked to the floor, then another icon appears where the first one was. And this is it's a fire button. It's just basically telling you hit the fire button as fast as you can. You got to hit it repeatedly, and that gets your wrestler up again. The less health you have, the longer it takes to get up. Simple, really. You also hammer the fire button as well to throw the other wrestler off if they try to pin you. So, like I said, should you manage to knock the opponent out, you move on to the next fight. More loading, insults, more loading. And like I said, the insults are not even individual to each wrestler either. Mr. Perfect gave the same answer no matter who you've chosen. Which is a bit rubbish, really.
Very.
Especially as it's loading. So it's not like they haven't got memory considerations. They could put loads of text in there. Same screen appears, the wrestlers run in, you repeat the process. It's that, really, 5 times. Should you make it through all 5 wrestlers, you get a rubbish newspaper headline saying you've won, and there's no way that I could find to reset the game. So I had to manually reset the machine and load the game in again from scratch, which is rubbish. Which makes
sense if you're on tape, doesn't it? Because you'd have to go rewind the tape. So
yeah, but you just rewind it. You should still be able to load it back in or something back in.
Yeah, they're never going to do that.
No, but if you're on disc, or it's just
unforgivable, really.
Yeah, so that's about it, really. Does it play well? No, it doesn't. The main issue with this game is the grapple and the waggling. Because there's no variety to the 2 players mode and no real depth to the game. There's no league, there's no cups, there's no sort of Royal Rumbles or any kind of systems to play through. Just the 5 bouts. you'll mostly play that single player mode. You'll run up against the game's biggest issue, which is the grapple. So when you are grabbed by the computer, and this happens automatically when you're next to each other or the sprites are touching, you have to waggle to win the grapple, which you won't be able to because the CPU does this at frightening speed. And even in 2-player mode, it's a tough task to get the bar full. I tried practicing and trying to go, hey, you've got it. So you've got no chance against the CPU. This means you'll never win a waggle. You'll never get to grapple them. You'll never do your signature move, or at least I couldn't get it to work anyway. Now, there's another facet to this which makes this game almost unplayable. If this happens near the edge of the ring, they don't move from off you, so they just stand over you. Every time you stand up, you're instantly back in a grapple.
Yep.
Which they win, and they do. They move, and they knock you down again. You stand up, instantly grapple, repeat until the bout is lost. But there's nothing you can do about this. As the opposing wrestler doesn't move away, like I said, you get stuck in a waggle loop of death, which is intensely frustrating and infuriating. The basic moves of kicks and runs and knees and punches were okay when you're sort of a distance apart. But again, once you make it to the later fighters, I used a level skip just to see what they were like. I couldn't even get past Mr. Perfect because he just kept getting me in the corner and I was done for. They're faster, they hit you quicker. You can barely get a move in before you're knocked down or grappled. So there's no real progression to this. It's just annoying. It's not a sizzler. No way is this a sizzler. No way. There's not enough game here. No. And not enough game of a decent quality to warrant one. The combat is not fun. There's no atmosphere. And the lack of decent 2 players option is a massive oversight. With a roster of just 8 wrestlers, they could have offered a decent league option or proper progression out of something like Barry McGuigan's boxing, anything like that. But there's nothing here to really hold your attention. And a load more enjoyable fighting games out there that are way better than this. Sprites are okay. Like I said, it moves at a decent pace, I guess. It lacks any kind of atmosphere. And that's really one of the most important aspects to WWF, isn't it? Where's the crowd?
Yeah.
When you watch clips of WWF, they're always playing to the crowd. Come on, we're having a go with them. And the crowd are booing or depending on who the heel is and stuff like that. And it's like, there's none of that here. There's no crowd. It's quiet. All you hear is like, It's boring. It's dull. Where are the roars? Where's the ability to play to the crowd? Where's that thing that should be here? The rousing comebacks and the fighting off, the story, the drama. WWF is about drama. I'm not a particularly massive fan, but it's theatre.
It is theatre, yeah. And
that's not what is here. What is here is a rubbish fighting game. I think that's something a lot of wrestling games do get wrong in that they don't realise that wrestling is about the story.
Yeah.
And none of that's here. It's just 5 bouts against the same wrestler in a different sprite form that you can't win anyway because you'll never. That stupid waggle is stupid, ridiculous. No, none of that is here. So you have an empty, rather dull grapple and waggle fest. It's neither fun nor enjoyable. WWF, I thought stood for Where Was Fun. It ain't here, that's for sure. I didn't like this. I thought it was really boring. God knows how this got a sizzler. I have no idea. There's a suitcase being passed hands somewhere. Or something or other, or advertising money. Just no way. No way this is a sizzler. No way. What did you think?
No, I mean, my complaint about this was there's a few different things, and I agree with everything you've said, principally. This is a wrestling game without the wrestling part, and that's the razzmatazz and the show. It's missing its show. So, because it does, I mean, the flashing lights at the beginning, that sort of is, when you see that bit, you think,
it promises something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't
but none of that's in the game. I mean, it could have had that. I mean, we've seen better wrestling games than this. We had the Epics one some time ago that was, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was better than this.
Yeah.
And then we've also, I mean, I hate to say it, but the Rock and Wrestle, as much as it was horrible, it was still, this isn't that far from that, and yet they're years apart.
Yeah, this is very similar to it. Yeah.
And so I kind of had the same complaint. That firstly, overcomplicated controls made it pointless because the whole point is that it should be, yes, there's a spontaneity about it, but you can't be spontaneous in this because you don't really know what the moves are going to do. And it's impossible to pull most of them off. And I just ended up in some kind of pick him up and throw him exchange. And I'm not even sure how I was doing that for a while. I was playing Mr. Perfect. The sprite work was okay for C64. All right, it is what it is. They kind of look like wrestlers and they were reasonably well-defined people. All right.
Yeah.
But it lacked all the important aspects and moves were all a bit arbitrary. So, if the best you can say about a wrestling game is the sprites looked okay, well then but what's the rest of the game? Where's the rest of the game? It was missing the WWF out of this. Where's the image of Hulk Hogan shouting and, all of the all that crazy brouhaha beforehand? And what was that guy called? The guy that Mean Gene, the guy that used to talk to, and where's the trainers that are, stood at the corners and the tag team and all of that? That's the wrestling I remember. And I used to watch wrestling back then with Hulk Hogan and then the Ultimate Warrior, which is another wrestler that's in here. And Not so much British Bulldog. I think he left in disgrace by as well in the end. So he wasn't. I think there was a terrible thing happened. I'm not sure of the legalities even of that, but I don't think it ended well for him.
Oh dear.
But it was of a kind of an era of wrestling at this time, pre-Undertaker and all of that. So it was Ultimate Wrestling. But there's no Ric Flair in there, which he was like a major thing. There's no Macho Man Randy Savage, I don't think, and he's a major opponent of Hulk Hogan's. No. I mean, at the time, Hulk Hogan was very much against the Ultimate Warrior. It was those two that were fighting for the World Championship. But you don't get to fight the Ultimate Warrior as Hulk Hogan, really.
No, you can't. You can only fight those five.
That was the other problem I had with this. The main problem is that the roster's just ridiculous. There's no roster. And that's the other key thing about wrestling is who's going to be fighting who. That's the big thing. Yeah, and really, what you shouldn't really necessarily be is, maybe in a game like this, it would have been more exciting if you didn't quite know who you were going to fight. And then every wrestler has an intro where they come in under the big music and the lights and everything else. Where's that? Yeah. Could have been a little intro bit. That bit would have been really important. And you could have seen. Now, each one has their own sequence. They have their own music theme. For goodness sake, Hulk Hogan's theme was the same throughout his entire career.
Yeah, which is like, where's the theatre? Where's the drama?
I think his was the I am a real American, wasn't it? That one, fight for what's right. And then because Dusty Rhodes was American Dream, they all have their own Ultimate Warriors. I can't even remember what that was, but they all had their own themes and they all had their own intros. And I know boxing and other events now take a bit of a lead off that because they all have that. I know they had it, where they used to have the ring walks and everything, but now it's the staging is very similar to WWE as it is. All of that's missing from this, and because of that, it's just completely lackluster in every way. And I think that shouts of the effort that went in. Now, this would have been an enormous license. So therefore, we know that, that Ocean would have been playing out the big brown envelopes of dollars to make sure it got the decent reviews, because there's no way this is 90%. No way in hell. No. But at this point, Zapped can't be picky, can they, really? Because they're on over a barrel, aren't they? It was only a month ago. They didn't have a magazine. So, if someone offers them advertising and a bit of, brown envelope cash, they'll be like, yeah, you know what? We'll tell what, just say whatever. So I just felt that I played something that I didn't really have any fun with. And like you said, where's the fun, whatever it was you said.
Where was fun?
Where was fun? Well, it wasn't in this game. So I agree with everything you said there. What a tragedy. And of course, I think if this had been $1.99, like a budget game, maybe, but you're never going to get that for this license. And imagine what the license would cost. But had this been budget, it certainly wouldn't be 90%. It would still be in the 50s and 60s, maybe at budget price, just because at least you can wrestle if you want to. But it's not a great game at all. And it's a far stretch from what I'd have expected, because the later WWE games on the consoles, the more advanced consoles, so they're massive games, aren't they? They're really, really big and they look quite real. So
yeah. I just think that opening sequence, like you said, where the crowd and everything and the spotlights over it, they need to justify that multi-load, and they could have had those interstitial intros. It could just some static screens or something. Better than what they had, which is that crappy verbal insults, which is the same each time. And didn't really do anything. And then, like I said, they needed music, they needed flashes going off in the crowd, they needed crowd noise, they needed something more than what you hear.
What baffled me with all of that is this is an Ocean game. That's the one thing that they've done for the last 20 games, is where they have multi-loads and images and stuff in between. I mean, every game I can think of, RoboCop, Ready, they all had...
Yeah, T2,
they all had bits in between.
I think.
Yeah, they did. So, I don't know. Just, I can't imagine that Hulk Hogan would have been happy with this. He'd have torn his shirt in half when they showed this and thrown someone through a window or something, wouldn't he, back then?
Quite possibly, yeah. And then someone...
what was it the Ultimate Warrior said that time? Run over my thighs with lawnmowers, or whatever it was.
I don't know. And I'd just been in the background going, why is Thunderlip so angry?
Yeah, or maybe they just didn't say words, they just did the breaths.
You do know you're going to have to link to that now in the show notes.
Of course, I'm going to link to that. But yeah, no, not a good game at all.
No, not good at all. There you go. That's WWF, the first of our fighting games. It ain't great, I'm sad to say. Let's move on. We still have one game in this section. Graham, it's over to you. We've seen it on the TV when we talked about TV. This is the Rugby, the World Cup. Tell us about it.
Well, it is. All right. $10.99. Wow. This is from Domark. Do we say Domark or Domark? Domark, isn't it?
Domark.
Domark. Yeah. Mr. Domark. Developer was Walking Circles. Now we know who that is, don't we?
We do.
That's Carlton Handley. Now he did Skull and Crossbones, Wanderer, and he's latterly, of course, Millie and Molly, amongst others. He's still active in the scene, as it were. We've even spoke to him. What a nice guy. Nice guy he is. Might not thank me for this review after that.
I don't think I'm going to get him on again.
Well, no, and the musician is...
Come on if you want.
The musician here is Gerard Gowerly again.
Yeah, no, he's back.
He did Hong Kong Phooey, Outlaw and Spooked. You remember them?
From the last review.
All right, so here we go. Rugby Union then. This is not Rugby League. And just in case you're wondering, Rugby Union and Rugby League are two distinct codes of rugby with differences in rules and gameplay, just in case you're wondering. And just so to be clear, for the avoidance of doubt, as lawyers like to say, Union is played with 15 players per side and focuses on contested phases like scrums, rucks, mauls and lineouts, creating a more strategic and territorial game. League, with 13 players per side, uses a 6-tackle rule that leads to a faster, more structured style of play with fewer stoppages. Scoring also differs slightly, with tries worth 5 points in Union and 4 in League. While Rugby Union has a wider international following, Rugby League is especially popular in Northern England and parts of Australia and New Zealand. Just so we're clear. This, however, is a Rugby Union. The world in union. In union. So what is Rugby Union then? Well, as I said, it's a fast-paced physical team sport played with 15 players per side, as I said. The aim is to carry, pass or kick the ball to score points by grounding it over the opponent's try line or kicking it between the goalposts. Get it right between the goalposts. Oh, got me right between me goalposts.
Right in my camel clutch.
Right between me posts. A try earns 5 points with the chance to add 2 more via a conversion kick. Teams can also score through penalties and drop goals, each worth 3 points. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Players must pass the ball backwards, which always is something that sounds stranger than it actually is. And tackling is only allowed forwards. No, I'm joking, not really. It's only allowed below the shoulders, which made me laugh because above the shoulders, tackling is not allowed. No head tackling of any kind.
No,
which makes sense, really, because you would no tackling of head. The game is split into two halves of 40 minutes and features distinctive set pieces like scrums and lineouts to restart play. The Rugby World Cup is the pinnacle of the sport, held every 4 years and contested by 20 international teams. It begins with a pool stage followed by knockout rounds leading to the final. The winning team is awarded the Webb Ellis Cup, named after the schoolboy said to have sparked the sport by picking up the ball during a football match. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
By the time Rugby the World...
I did know that.
There you go. By the time Rugby the World Cup hit the Commodore 64 in 1981, the tournament was still relatively new. First one was only held in 1987, but it already captured the imagination of fans worldwide. Okay. Ooh. Just to give you a little bit. This game this is the overview from the instructions itself. Rugby. The World Cup allows you to take part playing any or all of the 16 countries that will be competing in the 1991 World Cup in an accurate simulation of the tournament. Talk about taking the fun out of it.
Where was fun?
Where was fun? The tournament. So the 16 teams are split into 4 pools as drawn for the World Cup, each consisting of 4 teams. And that would make sense. The first part of the tournament is a round-robin competition between the 4 teams in each pool. Did I mention that there's 4 teams in each pool, Adrian? Just to be sure, 4 teams.
How many?
Just to make sure there's only 4 in each pool.
4? Oh, okay.
4. The number of counting shall be 4.
4.
The winner and runner-up of the pool will qualify for the quarter-final stages. Once into and past the quarter-final stages, the tournament becomes a knockout competition. In the event of a draw, the 2 teams will play until the death. No, sudden death.
Is the term
a sudden death situation
like copyrighted or something? Why are we with pool? It's just a group.
I don't know. It's just what they've written. No, this is just the way it is. I had to go to the Amiga for these instructions, by the way, because the 661 doesn't have any that I could find.
Okay.
In the event of a draw, the 2 teams will play a sudden death situation where the next points scored will win the match. The winners of the final will become the new World Cup holders. Makes sense, doesn't it? If you win the final,
I would have hoped so. What's the point otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So the rugby, a bright opening title screen welcomes you here, I guess. Okay, music, I suppose. This is music again by The Vibrants. Now, The Vibrants sound like a pop band from the mid-80s.
Very much so.
And they also did the music for the previous game, I think, or they do music for another game we're going to come across this particular episode. They seem to be popular, The Vibrants, at the moment. I think they're the competitors for the Maniacs of Noise. Because they sound kind of Euro-style, doesn't it? Anyway, it's okay, the music. Does it suit rugby? I don't know. I was trying to think what would be the perfect rugby. Why didn't they just have a version of the World in Union playing, which would have made sense, really?
Yeah.
You can choose, between single player, tournament, and match, and you change the match length. That's right.
Yeah.
And you can adjust that between 2 5-minute rounds, 2 7-minute rounds, or 2 10 minutes. So not 2 40 minutes, thank goodness. You can then select 1 or 2 players, and then you can choose from the team selection. Okay, the teams being England, New Zealand, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Australia. That's all I had on my screen. And after you've done all that, the game begins. Right, pretty straightforward. The main window in the game space is shown in a similar view to Sensible Soccer. So elevated view of the pitch, small sprites, and a map overlaid on the left of the screen. The top and bottom 2 rows are given for the time indication and the current match score. Standard kind of UI stuff, really. Very small. And the main window is actually quite a big playing area as it goes. The game plays out as per those instructions, as I said. So principally, there are sort of different variations. You've got a bunch of in-game controls. I'll go through the in-game controls as we go into the game a little bit, but principally you're going to play rugby, and I think we've ably described what rugby union is, so you know what you're in for. So it starts, the ball flies in, and then little tiny rugby players start charging down or up the rugby pitch. Obviously, you need to try and follow the rules, pass the ball backward, maneuver past the opposing team with the aim of scoring by tries, conversions, and drop kicks. The screen scrolls up and down according to whomever has the ball. The opposing team player that has possession is indicated by a mini square around them, like a little icon square, whereas the player you control is indicated by a kind of underline. Though small, you can just about see who you are controlling. I think that would have been better the other way round, though, for me. There are different in-game controls that you can apply. You control everything with the joystick to move around the pitch. The player you are currently controlling, like I said, is highlighted with the line, and you can only control players that are on the onside position, i.e. your side of the ball. That's very important later, because that does, without realising that, it's quite confusing. So to tackle in this game, you simply run into the play with the ball. There's a slight chance, as with real rugby, that your player will miss the tackle. Slight chance. You can pass the ball simply by pushing the joystick left or right, depending on the direction you wish to pass, and press fire. You may also use the diagonals away from the direction you're running, i.e. when you're running up the screen, pull back and press left and fire. If that sounds confusing, that's because it is. It is. You can kick the ball to touch, so to do that, you simply push the joystick diagonally towards the direction you are playing, i.e. when they're playing up the screen, push forward and left, right, and then press fire. You're not confused yet, are you, I hope? Holding fire increases the power of the kick. You can also kicking up and under. To kick and up and under, simply push the joystick in the direction you are playing, i.e. when playing up the push screen forward and press fire. Holding fire increases the power of the kick. Okay, we're all clear on that now. There's also scrums. Once a scrum has been entered, move the joystick left and right as fast as possible, or waggle, to win control of the scrum. The ball is then passed out to the scrum half. You'll never win that, ever.
Nope, you will not.
And same with lineouts. Once the ball's gone into touch, a lineout is initiated again. Move the joystick left and right, or waggle as fast as possible to jump the highest and win the lineout. You will never be able to do that.
Nope, you will not.
Once you've scored a try, which you won't ever be able to do, but by some miracle you happen to do, a picture of the post is displayed, and you've got to kick the ball between the posts. Kick it right between the posts.
Right in the camel clutch.
Right in the camel clutch. And you get like a moving cursor, which you can move with the joystick, and then stop the cursor inside the post to kick the ball by pressing the fire button. You can also do drop kicks when you won't know why or how or what reason, but you can do them. When in front of the posts, if you use the controls to do an up and under and the ball passes through the post, a drop goal is awarded, just in case you're wondering how it's all controlled. All on the joystick and the fire button, just for your ease of use. All good. Like I said, tackling, well, that's just running into people, really. And again, the scrum and the lineouts, really, the idea of this is you've got to try and gain possession of the ball, something which you will never be able to do in this, really, in any meaningful way, or hold or keep possession. Because I never actually managed it throughout an entire playthrough, and I tried it a few times. And so it plays out as per the rules of rugby, with a massively unfair, disadvantaged team that you are compared to the horse race-enabled team that you'd be playing against. And the winning team, obviously, is the one that scores the most points in the running time of the game. So I suppose what can you say? That's how it all plays out. It's an attempt at a sensible style rugby game, sensible soccer style rugby game. And it's nearly there. Yeah, in some aspects, it's nearly there, but way off in many of the others. General look and feel, okay. Keep things relatively simple, and they do. There's plenty of players on the pitch, and the view kind of works of the action. That viewpoint is about right for this, with the nice sort of zoomed out view on the left. That kind of works. Better on the Amiga version than the ST, which this also came out on. But it's okay. The graphics are okay for what they are in this as well. They are of the sensible style of that sort of, distance and size, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in a game like this. But there are some issues around it in this one. But they are okay for what they are. They look like little people. However, the controls, that's the problem with this. One of the problems of this, lets it down massively. So controlling this is basically an arbitrary experience because it doesn't really feel like you're ever really in control of it. Then there's the absence of decent sound effects for most things. So that kind of compounds the problem. It's kind of rugby is a loud, crashy, bangy sport with lots of crowd sounds. And if that isn't in these games, then they feel really weird. I mean, we had that during lockdown. Do you remember when sports games were played and there was no crowd? Yes, it was weird. Yeah. It weirded everybody out. Everyone was like, this is weird. They even played recordings, didn't they, in the end?
Yeah, they did. It was very strange. Just like arbitrary recordings of crowds.
It's weird. People don't like no sound. They even play white noise in supermarkets or sometimes music, but they even play in certain buildings in London. I know for this to be true. They'll play a white noise, like slight white noise in the background so that you're never actually completely silent anywhere because people don't like it. It's unnerving.
No. Have you ever been in a truly silent room? I've been in one.
Yeah, it's
once.
weird. Yeah.
They're really horrible.
Yeah, I was in a really expensive music studio that had a really, really soundproofed area, and it was I could almost hear my pulse in my brain. It was weird. Didn't like it. Anyway, so the general look and feel, I kept it simple. There are plenty of players, like I said, and the view kind of works, but the graphics, I don't know. They're all right for what they are. But it is those controls and all of the other things that I've mentioned. No sound effects. There's good options, multiplayer, tournament play. They're all well and good for a game of this type. I would expect those to be in it. It feels a little bit limiting, but they are there. But trying to control what's happening and who you're controlling is way more difficult than it should be in a game of this type. You seem completely disadvantaged against the other teams for a start, with their players seemingly powered by hydrated horse race urine. They charge around at quite the pace, and while the screen moves okay enough to accommodate this view, too often you're left with loads of scrambling players or nothing in the view, with the scrolling is maybe a little bit on the juddery slow side, not perfect. With nothing in your view, or with you can't really see who you're trying to control. It's a bit of a scramble around visually to try and figure out which one's got the underline, and then because of the way that it selects the players that you can't select, or should I say, you can only select from the ones that are when
you're on side.
When you're on side, you can. So that also limits the ones that are affected. It's a bit weird. So oftentimes you're left like that. When you tackle, the action flips to, so if you do tackle someone or you do manage to get in front of somebody, the action flips so instantly to a scrum or line out. It's almost disconcerting. Ping. Oh, okay. No, there's no reset. They're just all of a sudden everyone's moved position, and it's disconcerting to do that. It would have been better not to have it like that. They couldn't. You've shown that the players can run around, so just run them into a formation or something, or have them go off and do something, and then make it a bit more like rugby. That it works.
And it's not a proper scrum formation either.
No, but the players in rugby, as far as I'm aware, don't materialise. They don't dematerialise and materialise, do they? I mean, that would be advantageous.
You haven't been watching modern rugby, have you?
No, I haven't.
It's really technologically advanced.
And then there's no chance of winning possession anyway when you're in those. It's a miracle if you did it, but there's no way. And even if you do buy that some miracle, you're never going to keep it. So too often this was more like a Keystone Cop style affair for me, with my players all chasing after the guy with the ball with no real hope of stopping them. We just it reminded me of that American football game where the same thing happened, where you were just all chasing after the little tiny dots one.
Oh, Super Bowl. Super Bowl 20.
Super Bowl, where at certain points you just ended up with lots of tiny dots chasing one dot.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl Super Bowl from satellite.
Yeah, exactly. But the racehorse powered guy had the ball, and then nobody else was just we all ran in a line chasing after him. So it felt a bit like that again. And maybe in 2-player, I can see there might be a bit more mileage if there's two people that want to play this, but single player mode felt hopeless and frustrating. Eventually, they'll score a try, and you get the word try on the screen, all right? And you might score one by a miracle. You get a view of the conversion, I guess, and that looked all right for what it was. Reasonably well drawn, but it was a pig to control like everything else. The controls make no sense. And let's just say, well, you won't be seeing much of that anyway, because chances of you getting a try, I mean, I was playing New Zealand, and no, it wasn't happening. I mean, we haven't seen lots and lots of rugby games. We've seen a lot less than we have, say, the football games, for example, I think.
Yeah, we have.
And I believe we've got some more coming up. And this one isn't terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's better with 2 players, I imagine. There's maybe a little bit of mileage in it, if you can bother to learn the controls. But in the attempt to try and riff on sensible in the way it looks, part of it goes massively wrong. The scrolling isn't quite smooth enough. The play movement isn't quite right. The controls are off and complex and overcomplicated. The players materialise and dematerialise, for goodness sake, and there's no sounds. It's just, I don't know, it all plays just a tad off. And all those kind of things make the experience less fun and more haunting. It's not hateful as a game, and there's some ideas that just were nearly there, but on the whole, I am afraid I didn't enjoy playing it. I spent way too much time wandering around, wondering who I was controlling and chasing a man running off with an egg. And that is not something I generally do. So it's just not quite there for me, this. So what about you?
Yeah. Just prior to this, we've had Rugby Coach from Cult Games, if you remember that.
I remember, unfortunately.
And way back, we had International Rugby Simulator.
Yeah.
That was a side-on one. Zapped gave 39%. I don't think we like that either. Can you do rugby, really, on 8-bit machines?
I don't know. I don't know if it's not quite worked, has it?
No, if this game's anything to go by, then not really. And then there's a decent front end, easy to control menu, which I like, the ability to play single match through a tournament. All good. Once you get into the game, though, tiny players run around a huge pitch. That pitch is huge.
Yeah, it was a bit big.
Compared to the players. And it's virtually impossible to do anything against the computer, like you rightly said. It's just impossible. I read the instructions. I tried to play rugby. My players just ran away from the ball. Yeah. Loads of times my players just running in the opposite direction. I'm like, go tackle him. What are you doing?
Yeah. Go back that way.
Your job is to tackle him when he's running at you. But yeah, and I never won a scrum, no matter how fast I pumped my joystick from side to side. I pumped fast, and I still couldn't win.
You can.
I quite like there's a scanner to give you greater situational awareness.
Yeah, I thought that was good. That's a nice touch.
That's good to see. Doesn't mean much though, because your players run away from the ball carrier. So
yeah, and actually it proved to be. I mean, I like the idea of it, but the actual reality of trying to concentrate what's on the left and then play the game on the right, you can't focus that way.
No, you need Marty Feldman eyes.
Or Betty Davis eyes.
Which is the follow-up to that song, yeah. You've got Marty Feldman eyes. Werewolf. But that's what you need.
Too late.
So there's no penalties. There's no penalties for anything that get given. No. So you can do what you want. Kicking is an exercise in frustration. No matter how I tried to kick it, never worked.
No.
They just charge you down immediately.
Yep.
It's pointless.
Yep.
I got very bored of this very quickly. Rugby kickoff style, isn't it? Rugby kickoff. Let's turn it off. I don't know. Was this rushed out for the World Cup? Maybe. Did it need more time in the oven? Probably.
Yeah. I mean, the Amiga and the ST ones do look a bit. I didn't play them, but they do obviously look better. But they do look a bit more complete, I think. Yeah.
I wonder how much time is actually given to this. I don't know. But it's obviously you're out for the World Cup. This probably came out in November, I'm guessing. It's just. Yeah, I don't know. We've got another rugby game, I think next week or the week after. There's another rugby game in this issue. We'll see how that fares. But I didn't get on with this. 36% he got in Zap. Yeah, it just doesn't work. That's the problem, isn't it? You can't play it. And, if you're going to play through a tournament, you want to play through a tournament where you feel like you've actually got some chance of winning. Yeah. And you just will never have that here. Not ever. No. Sorry, it's what it is. There's Rugby the World Cup. 11 quid as well. I'd have been a bit annoyed if I paid £11 for this.
I was just looking on the Lemon comments on the Amiga version, and the first comment is, they've rushed this out in time for the event itself, and it feels half finished. I think that's probably a pretty clear estimation of it on all formats.
I think this was like, this has to be out by a certain point. Get it done. Get it what you can.
Yeah. Oh, your balls will be odd-shaped.
Absolutely. We'll be kicking you through the camel clutch.
Right between your posts. That'll be a conversion you never forget.
True. Yeah. I'm just trying. There is no try. There is. It's rugby.
It's rugby. Yeah, Yoda is rubbish at coaching rugby teams, isn't he? Do or do not. There is no try. All right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure there is, Yoda.
Yoda's rugby tips.
Do or do not. There is no try. Just kick it.
You're rubbish. You're a rubbish coach, Yoda. Quiet you will be. Yap, you'll shut.
I cannot think of a single Yoda rugby pun now. I have to try. That's it. I can't think of anything. I'm clean out. Nothing's coming to mind. I
like the idea of Jonah Lomu getting a dressing down from Yoda, though.
True.
Because he wouldn't call him Jonah Lomu, it'd be Lomu Jonah, wouldn't he? It'd be having it the other way, because everything's the wrong way around for Yoda, isn't it?
Probably. Back to front. Jonah Lomu. It'd be Mulo Najo.
To be fair, that's probably
you'd get really confused.
That's probably It sounds like a Jedi name, actually, doesn't it? They have names like that.
They do. That's why I'd probably call him that. Anyway, Rugby World Cup. It ain't great.
No.
So that's not a great first part of this week. We can only play what's in front of us, though. We're going to go away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to see what was going on on the TV and at the cinema in November 1991. Stay with us.
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Crash landing on a green planet full of vector graphics, can Sarah find a way to escape for real? Or is she stranded on a planet full of sun, sea, and chippy tea forever? Imagine finding yourself in a cinematic karate game, having to rescue a princess, or remain stuck under the run-stop key forever. What about finding yourself on a space freighter full of robots? Could you clear the decks? If you were transported back to a Wild West town, having to round up outlaws, could you survive until sunset? What if you were a wizard with a cat who must colour worlds? Could you beat the game, or would a virtual guitar solo announce your demise? Sarah might just be another visitor, but she doesn't want to stay a while, never mind forever. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, discover if there's a way out in Escape from the Commodore 64. Visit davidhearnwriter.com to find out more.
And we are back. What was going on in the world of TV in the UK in 1991? Well, Graham, on the 1st of November, ITV broadcasted the 1000th edition of the ITV Central game show, Blockbusters. There you go.
Wow.
1000th edition. I mean, that's a lot, isn't it? 5 a week for how many weeks of the year? Is it about 50 weeks?
Oh, yeah, it was going for a while, wasn't it? Was it still Bob doing it by then? Because it did change host at some point, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was still Bob Holness for that point.
Bob Holness, yeah. That's his name. I couldn't think of it. Bob Holness, yeah. It was good Blockbuster. We mentioned it before, haven't we? It was good. It was a good show.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it when it first started, the initial episode, and we talked about it.
Yeah, we did. 1,000 episodes. My gosh, wow.
I know. That is a lot. That's a lot in a short period. Because we talked about the first one. We're only 1991, so...
Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot of shows. That's racking. Yeah, that's like proper work. No, it's workhorse. Poor Bob, he was knackered.
Yeah, absolutely. 15th of November, BBC World Service Television begins broadcasting via satellite to Pearl River Delta, a subsidiary of Star TV and owner of News Corporation, a conglomerate of Rupert Murdoch. Dun, 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 dun. A member of Hutchinson Whampoa.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
Some kind of nightclub that he's a member of?
A member of Hutchinson Whampoa. I don't know. I could have done some research, but I didn't.
What does it mean? That sounds like it's some weird thing. That's like a weird Illuminati thing. BBC World Service Television, you know what's going to be on that.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, Fawlty Towers, Dad's Army.
Only Fools and Horses.
Only Fools and Horses, yeah. The classics,
Maybe One Foot in the Grave.
One Foot in the Grave, yeah. Mr. Bean, probably. Was that a BBC thing originally? I don't know.
I think that was ITV, I think.
No, it won't be them then.
Keeping Up Appearances, perhaps.
Yeah, that sort of thing, yeah. To the Manor Born and that one the other one with Felicity Kendall and all that.
Oh, The Good Life.
The Good Life, yeah. Butterflies and
from May to December.
Yeah, that's the sort of
Bread.
Two Ronnies and that kind of thing.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course, two Ronnies. Les Dawson.
Yeah, Les Dawson, yeah.
Bit of blankety blank.
Blankety blank, checkbook and bed, boom, yeah, that sort of thing. But yeah, so all the great quality exports.
So I'm sure they were very entertained.
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
That'd be weird. Just like Russell Crowe's face just appeared for
to be fair
real reason.
As much as it probably annoyed everybody in the Colosseum, I did actually shout that when I was there recently. You have to,
no,
and because I look kind of like quite a dangerous guy, nobody said a word.
God, you're a menace to the golfing community.
Hey, I was stood in front of the exact place where that happened. The thumbs up, thumbs down, and the choppy and all that. I thought, why not? When in Rome.
16th of November. The network television premiere of Christopher Kane's 1988 Brat Pack Western film Young Guns on ITV. Starring Amelia Westwood, Keith Sutherland, and Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, and Terence Stamp.
Now your comment here confused the hell out of me because I've never liked it and I never will.
I always thought you and Gary were big fans of the Young Guns films. No, you always used to go on about them. Seem to remember you always going on about. Was it maybe the sequel?
Neither. I don't like either of them. Never have. I think maybe you're getting me confused with someone else.
Maybe
because old mate Rick, he liked him because he liked the soundtrack.
It might be him and Gary then.
It wasn't me. I've never liked him.
I'm sure Gary liked him. He'll turn around and go, I never liked him because he didn't like anything.
No, fun void that he is, but it's not me. It ain't me, Gov. But I was planning on rewatching them because in the spirit of this podcast, I never got round to it. So.
No. I could give or take. I don't mind them. They're just off the time, aren't they? They're just
totally. And Terence Stamp's normally worth a watch in this sort of thing, but I didn't get to it.
No. New shows though. That was it for telly. Not a lot going on in November. New shows. 11th of November. What on earth? Did you watch this?
I watched a bit. Yeah, I watched a bit of it because as I was reading the blurb off Wikipedia, it said, and I quote, he has the ability to trans-animate objectify. And for some reason, that set off a ding-a-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling bell. So once I stopped the bell, once I'd found it, because it was weird that would even happen. I don't even remember owning a bell. Just shows you, don't buy bells and leave them lying around because that will trigger them. It triggered a memory, and I think so. I must have seen it at some point because I remembered that term. Anyway, when I checked the episode, it turns out I don't remember it all. So why I'd remember the phrase trans-animate objectify, unless it was something I'd said once to try and see what happened. Nothing happened though.
No. Oh, is it where your house is on what 3 words?
It could be. Might well be. Show centres around the titular character of what? So that's why it's called What on Earth.
It is.
So there you go.
And as you've rightly noted here, it was written by the Doctor Who writers Pip and Jane Baker, and I could just as soon as I watched that, I went, "You don't say." Yeah,
totally. I mean, it's a safe kids show. It looked like very typical of the stuff that was appearing around that time with lots of, I'd say visual effects, but more often than not, it's like the TV screen will spin into a dot or something on this. It's
Some people will say special effects, and I would say no.
They've got the Quantel expert in for a week or two to give them a lowdown on some of the default modes.
And then for the subsequent episodes, it was the work experience boy.
You could tell. But I don't know. There's a big story attached to it. What's the point in going through that? You just go on, track it down. No, not for me. I didn't watch any children's TV at this point, really, anyway.
No. 11th of November, there was Life Sense. This is a 6-part nature documentary produced by the BBC. Interesting that the serial producer was John Down and narrator Andrew Sachs. He used groundbreaking effects and filming techniques to show how animals perceive the wildlife.
Yeah,
pioneering techniques reveal our lives from the animal's point of view and creatures across the landscape from the world around them. So I watched this one that you'd linked to. There's some incredible footage in there. Like really, really like weird viewpoints that you don't normally see.
I remember the one with where they made it like where you could see out the eyes of different birds and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was like, it must be so confusing. But obviously, I'm not a bird, so it's not a bird.
But I did find the footage of loads of starving dead rabbits really quite awful to watch.
Yeah, that is that line in it with these documentaries, like
It's just like I would have fed them. I'd have had to feed them if I was filming that. There's no way because there's that one shot of one just dying.
Well,
I was like, this is horrible.
What I couldn't understand, and you'll have to try and explain this to me in because I don't get it. Instead of there being lots of starving dead rabbits, why wasn't there just one really fat rabbit?
Because I don't think they eat meat. Do they, rabbits?
I don't think rabbits are that picky. Actually, when they're starving, I think rabbits. Well, clearly they're not going to eat each other, which I admire. But this, if it's survival of the species, I'm afraid it's you're more of an eat the one you're with kind of race when you're a rabbit. Maybe. I think.
But I did find it quite unpleasant.
It was unpleasant to see. That sort of thing always is.
Yeah, but it's just the slow twitching and just laying there. I was like, just give him some lettuce.
Yeah, and then you think to yourself, Andrew Sachs is a good, it's Manuel, isn't it? Andrew Sachs from Fawlty Towers. But obviously not doing Manuel in that would be weird. But all the way when you're watching it, you're thinking this needs to just be. Whenever I see those things, it's David Attenborough.
David Attenborough.
Yeah, so he's good. Don't get me wrong, Andrew Sachs, but he ain't no David Attenborough. But then that leads you down there, here. The starving polar bear slowly but surely ends his life. Oh, God, this is bleak. So maybe it would have added extra bleakness to have him doing it. Maybe he turned it down for that reason. It's like, I draw the line at talking about dead and dying rabbits because I can't, so I imagine he did.
Or then maybe they got him in the first one. Here, the rabbits are slowly dying. No, we need someone more upbeat. We can't have
the
this
music comes on. Bright eyes burning like fire.
And 1,000 children's lives are ruined.
As they were once before. Yeah, God, I remember nightmares about that. But it's amazing footage, but it is bleak when it's like that. It is.
14th of November, there was Dark Season.
This is interesting for one reason only.
Which is?
That's Russell T Davies was the writer and creator of it, which is the first thing he ever wrote for TV. It was his first script. Yeah. Of course, he went on to become Mr. Doctor Who, didn't he? Well, no, that's not his name. His name's still Russell T Davies. He didn't. It'd be ironic if he did change his name to Mr. Who, wouldn't it?
Mr. Who?
Russell T Davies. I'm Mr. Who now. Really?
Oh, Russell. Mr. Who.
That's Russell Who to you. Mr. Who, please. But anyway, so he Russell T Davies wrote that, and it shows because if you watch it and the entire series on YouTube, what Law looks a bit like it's very Doctor Who-y, very his style of Doctor Who-y.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
So no, it's got young Kate Winslet in it though.
It has, yeah,
very young Kate Winslet. It's actually her first major role or TV role.
14th of November, there was An Actor's Life for Me.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ever watch that.
No, starred John Gordon Sinclair, Carolyn Quentin, and Gina McKee, a British sitcom.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't it be? Written by Paul Mayhew Archer. He wrote The Vicar of Dibley.
Oh, okay. Speaking of The Vicar of Dibley, 14th of November, there was Murder Most Horrid. This is a British black comedy anthology series starring Dawn French, broadcast on BBC Two for four series runs, 91, 94, 96, and 99. Created by Paul Smith, who also created Colin's Sandwich, which I quite used to enjoy.
That was good, that.
Series starred French as a different character in each episode. Many episodes were directed by Bob Spires, who also worked with French on the Comic Strip Presents and French and Saunders. And I can't say I ever watched this. I watched an episode, but I linked to because in season 4, there's an episode that's directed by Edgar Wright.
There is.
It's called Confessions of a Murderer. It's co-written by Ian Hislop, directed by Edgar Wright. And so I had a watch of this today. You can really see Edgar Wright.
Yeah, his touches in it.
Sort of swish cuts, lots of whip pan cuts and stuff, and odd stuff. And it's actually quite funny.
Yeah.
So I quite enjoyed the one I watched today. the copper in it was really good. There's loads of very funny. He keeps getting his light. He keeps not knowing how to refer to things, which actually kept cracking me up and making me laugh. But yeah, it seemed all right. I might actually. Yeah. I don't know if they're all as good, but
I don't remember them being all as good. I remember watching a couple. I did have a quick view of the one that you'd linked as well. And yes, totally Edgar Wright, who of course leans heavily into the Evil Dead directors kind of oof, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's very of that type.
Yeah, because he goes on to do the Cornetto trilogy, doesn't he? And all those.
Well,
Space,
the Sitcom, which is one of my favourite shows of the last 10 years, really. 10, 15, 20 years now, actually. Goodness.
Yeah. It's a bit toned down because it's BBC.
Yeah.
But you can still see those moments when it...
Yeah, Sam Raimi, isn't it? He's very Sam Raimi influenced, I think.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, very good though. Yeah,
seemed all right. 14th of November, there was Secret History.
Been running for years, that.
Yeah, the home of single hour-long history documentaries that shed new light on some of the most intriguing stories from the past. New evidence from excavation, research, and investigation reveals strange, forgotten stories and shed new light on the events we thought we knew well. Now, weirdly, I was asking my partner about this because she recommended one of these to me ages ago. She said, "Oh, you should watch that. It's a secret history about this thing." And I went down to ask her, "What's that thing you recommended?" She's like, "Oh, I can't remember." So I can't remember what episode, but that's where I came across this because I don't remember it. But it's a good documentary series. The sort of one-offs, just one-off things. So I found one that was about Concorde, which was about the Russian version of Concorde.
All right.
I didn't watch it all, but yeah, so the Russians actually built a version of, or tried to. I don't know if they managed it, but yeah. So while we were building one, the Russians did as well.
Imagine they probably Concorde. Did they call it Concorde? I
don't think they did. That's just the name of the episode. It's got a K, of course, as well.
Yeah, they've got the Big Mac. We've got the Big Mick. They've got the Concorde. We've got the Concorde ski.
Concorde ski, absolutely. If you'd just like to walk down the Concorde ski. You mean the Concorde? No, the Concorde ski.
This goes the speed of half sound. What's that? Is that even a real sound?
Yeah. Yes, you will hear it way before you see it.
2 loud claps, and then 2 snakes face each other, but they are one.
It's gone all Conan. No, it's Conan ski, I think you'll find.
He on board already.
Absolutely.
I don't know why he's talking like that, but that's not how Russians talk at all.
That was written by Robert E. Howard Ski. 17th of November, Ashenden.
Yeah, I was never going to watch that.
No, British secret 4-part TV series based on a 1927 spy novel.
Yeah, they always are. They're always 1927 spies, aren't they?
Yeah. 17th of November, there's Merlin of the Crystal Cave.
Yeah.
The write-up on IMDb says, a star-studded TV production of the classic tale by Mary Stewart, which follows Merlin down through history to the days of King Arthur. Star-studded, Graham. George Winter, Trevor Peacock, Roger Alborough. You remember them.
I don't remember Trevor Peacock at all, which surprised me because we've got loads of peacocks in our village, as I've said before. I'm surprised one of them called Trevor. Yeah. I don't remember anything of that at all. I did have a quick look and I don't remember.
You don't remember Winter, Peacock, Alborough.
You remember them? I don't remember Merlin of the Crystal Cave. And I'm into that kind of Merlin stuff because it should have been about the time I was rewatching Excalibur a lot. So I didn't bother. No. And I'll Nathracked my way out of that one.
Probably for the best. 20th of November, there was the Chestnut Soldier.
Yeah, I didn't watch that either.
Gwyn senses danger from a toy horse with an evil prince's spirit seeking revenge. With friends Emlyn and Nia, they aim to save a mysterious soldier. Can the snow spider help recapture the prince's soul without harm?
Was it written by AI back then or something?
I don't know.
It has a chat GPT vibe about that.
I don't know what that is. That's just nonsense. 23rd of November, this was a pretty big one at Noel's house party.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah. Did you like it, Noel's house party?
Not really. I'd kind of watch it if I was waiting to go out or something on a Saturday evening. It was prime time Saturday evening.
It was, for years.
What was taken over by the Anton Deck and stuff like that, and Michael McIntyre. It's that.
Yeah, completely.
To those things. So it's a big light entertainment. So it's kind of carried on from, I suppose, like things like Generation Game and things, and
with hints of the TV morning shows, the Saturday TV morning shows, that kind of live, anything can happen sort of vibe.
Yeah, and like I think had a sort of elements of like the Big Breakfast, and there's all those kind of things were just going on. And they'd go around to people's houses and turn cameras on, weren't there? And like, you're on telly. I mean,
it's totally been rebranded as the Big Show now, isn't it? Michael McIntyre's Big Show, because he does that. He does that thing where he has the surprise guests and he flips cameras around on people, and they have setups for famous people to go in and they get, because he used to do that dressing up in disguise, didn't he? And he'd go and surprise them. The gotchas, didn't he? The gotchas, that's where that come from, I think.
Yeah. So
and all that. So it's all been kind of, they took all the elements of that and they've kind of picked it apart and put it in different shows now. So it's across the different TV stars, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that was where it all began, really, I suppose.
And I think as well, I mean, Noel Edmonds, obviously famous for obviously DJ, but also Saturday Swap Shop. And
Yeah,
those
he was,
kind
yeah.
of, those
big TV star.
Yeah, those kind of like kids TV shows on a Saturday. I think this had elements of that. It kind of brought it more to a mainstream adult audience.
Yeah, he was a long-standing BBC DJ stalwart. He had been around for a while and never aged, which is, because he drank blood, probably. Maybe not his own, I don't know. But he'd been around a while, and he was kind of at that time he was a safe bet. And I don't really understand what happened to Noel. I think he just retired because he was on TV recently in a new show where
he's gone to New Zealand, hasn't he?
New Zealand to set up a business stuff, and and he hasn't aged still. In that, he looked exactly the same. He's like, no, but that's what drinking live animal blood does. Enough said about that.
Or sacrificing Clive Anderson on top of his house and throwing the head off.
Yeah, I forgot that was in there. I think he went Brass Eye, was it, the day today?
Yeah.
The thing is, this was, so it was set in Crinkly Bottom, which was this, it was all about the innuendo, this, but it had the gunge tank, it had gotchas, it had little mini snippets of, guests would knock on the door and appear and there'd be fun and games and silly questions. And it was just that kind of, it was very much reborn, but anything can kind of happen, that kind of thing. And it prevailed. People quite liked that kind of light entertainment on a Saturday. It gave people a reason to watch TV around that time. I think it was on at 7:00, wasn't it? Something like that.
It was on,
huge ratings
evening,
winner.
Yeah.
It was a massive ratings winner, and then they mysteriously just cancelled it, BBC, after a long run. And then they brought it back periodically to show specials on the other lesser-known BBC channels, 4 and the Dark Edge, BBC Dark Web as it's known, and it was really popular on there. So I think there's still a place for it. They probably realised that it was of its time, and then basically replaced it with an exact duplicate. And then that really weird The Wheel show, which I really, really, really hate.
I don't like that either.
Smug, crappy idiot. I can't stand it. But anyway, and then, I said, he had currency, Noel, at this point. And he did that show with the little boxes, didn't he, after this as well? What was it called?
Oh, Deal or No Deal.
He did that for a long while as well, and he was quite liked on that.
Just for a moment there, when you said the little boxes, I was like, he didn't do a Hellraiser show.
Noel's Hellraiser.
Noel's Cenobites.
Oh, God, do you imagine if in Ding Dong and Mr. Blobby Cenobite?
Mr. Blobby Cenobite. No, Blobby, please. It's a waste of good Blobby.
Blobby.
So,
your Blobby will be legendary, even in Blobby.
Oh, dear. Why do we always go back to the Cenobites?
I don't know, but that would be perfect for that. But yeah, and Noel's Cenobites and Noel's Hellraisers now raised a whole. That's a good program. That would be
Noel's Hellraiser. Yeah. 23rd of November, there was Moving Pictures.
Aye. Yes.
Television series devoted to film, aired on BBC Two, presented by an American-born Howard Schuman. Don't know why it needs to say American, but by American-born, just Howard Schuman. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
He wrote Rock Follies and Selling Hitler.
Yes, he did.
Program has composed several short films. I don't remember this at all, and I'm surprised I don't. Should have been all over this.
You definitely watched it because we used to watch it, and I ended up having to watch almost all of that entire series when I was studying film studies at university. So
it's crazy that I don't have any real memory of this.
Yeah, I remember watching. I think I could be wrong. I think one of them was one of the mini filmettes inside of it was called J'accuse Citizen Kane, which you might remember. Which is
that the what's his face, Robert McKee? Yeah,
where he takes. I think that I could be conflating two different things.
I remember that. Is that the one where he starts off going, Citizen Kane is interesting?
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. But now I could be conflating two different things. Don't quote me, but that's it. In my mind, I've made those two things connect for some reason. So.
Okay, quite possibly, yeah. I mean, I have found a clip of it and I watched it and I was like, I don't remember any of this, but I'm
pretty sure we watched them. I'm sure we did.
Because we were dead into film and film studies and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. This would have been key watching at that time, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. 27th of November, there was Clarissa, 1991 British period drama. We're not going to watch. She's got Sean Bean in it, though.
No, I'm not going to watch that.
No. There was also, in November at some point, Cartoon World as part of TV Mayhem.
Yeah, it's just the branch name for all of the different cartoons that were on the TV Mayhem.
28th of November, Stanley and the Women.
No, I didn't watch it.
No, miniseries starring John Thor.
No,
it's not. I'm not going to watch that. Gone to the Dogs.
Kingsley Amis is in it. Oh no, he wrote it.
Yeah, okay. 29th of November, Gone to the Dogs.
No.
Miniseries for Central Films. And 30th of November, there was the animated version of Beetlejuice.
I had the displeasure of watching a few of them. They're not very good, and none of the voices in it were from the original actors anyway. So.
Pox on it then. Pox, Graham.
Yeah, it was. Tim Burton was the producer on it.
He's got his name somewhere in it.
Yeah, and it does have quite an interesting theme arrangement, actually, by Danny Elfman, which is not exactly the same as the one for the film. It does make it quite interesting for that. But other than that, no.
That's it for TV. Let's get into the films. 1st of November, Rambling Rose. You could have seen that. A young woman who exudes sexuality battles temptation.
Yeah,
that Laura Dern.
Yeah, it might have got some. It might have got some of the vid bots at Blockbuster a bit frothy around the pants, but
I don't.
With a cover like that, I don't think anyone's renting it.
No. But I want to know what the guy is in the background, just looking on with his hat.
Is that Robert Duvall as well? Or looks like it.
Maybe. Yeah, it probably is. If you didn't fancy that, you could have gone and seen 21.
Yeah, Patsy Kensit.
No, independent-minded 21-year-old girl. Film followers, she reflects on the men in her life. 21? Going on?
Exactly.
Shocking. There was also Blonde Fist. That
rented out a lot. That rented out a lot in Blockbuster.
Really?
Yeah, it was massive popular hit. This was the time when straight to video was becoming really big, because
right.
I was actually listening to an interview with Danny Dyer, strange enough, on podcast the other day, which was by Louis Theroux, which is excellent. And I didn't realise he'd been in quite a lot of films, but he actually made his name, as it were, such as he has. But he's made his name by all of the DVDs that came out. He was just very popular on DVD and rental, and that early market for that, and that's how he kind of came to be. And although Blonde Fist and Margie Clark weren't necessarily big names in the straight-to-video world, this was a big hit.
I kind of remember it. I remember the title, but
I don't think boxing movie, really. Yeah.
8th of November, there was The Fisher King.
I remember you liking that at the time.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam film. It's Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like Terry Gilliam stuff. So there's always moments of creativity and just sort of grandeur in those films. I think there's the bit in. Is this a bit in the station in this one?
Yeah, it's Grand Central
Station.
Yeah,
we have the big dance sequences.
Yeah, waltzing. Yeah, where they all of a sudden they just start waltzing all of everybody. Yeah. It's very good, that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there's always those moments. You kind of watch those Terry Gilliam films for that. And this was around the time he was sort of making more kind of straightforward Hollywood stuff. So you got 12 Monkeys, I think, after this and things like that. A bit more grounded, I think, after things like Baron Munchausen and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I do remember liking this. I haven't seen it in ages, though, so don't know if it stood up or not. There was also Shattered. After a horrific car wreck leaves him as an amnesiac, a man slowly begins to unravel his shocking past. Tom Berenger, Bob Hoskins, Greta Scacchi, and Joanne Wally Kilmer in this.
Aye.
I'd look at the trailer. Trailer's weird. It's a trailer with no speech, which is unusual for the time.
Yeah, but it's beginning, isn't it? We said that a couple of times ago.
Yeah, but I think I remember this because there's an effect in it of like a glass face shattering through a windscreen that I remember. So I think I might have seen this, but I don't remember anything about it.
It's kind of your oeuvre, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I'd have probably rented it out from Tate's.
Yeah, something like that. It's Wolfgang Peterson, isn't it? So, but I didn't remember much of it. The trailer didn't jog any memories of it, big ones. Bob Hoskins I was never a big Bob Hoskins fan either.
Bob Hoskins looks weird in this as well. It's that bit out of place. And Tom Berenger is starting to become craggy.
He is.
I mean, he started in Platoon and he's getting craggier by this point.
He's just getting craggier and craggier, yeah.
He's starting to look like a cliff face. You see small pitons in his cheeks.
It is a bit.
15th of November, What About Bob? You remember
Comedy
this?
that never was. Yeah, it wasn't very funny. That was the problem with it. Frank Oz and Bill Murray do not a good team make.
Yeah, was it Richard Dreyfuss as well?
Yeah, I want to say yes, but I don't remember him in it.
Because he was the therapist, wasn't he? He's the physiotherapist.
Like that. I only remember Bill Murray. I only remember Bill Murray in it, and I just remember it being very Bill Murray, but not very funny.
No, this was when he was a bit out of sorts at this point. Wasn't he, Bill Murray? Didn't really know what to do with him.
No.
Same day there was Toto the Hero. I'm surprised you've never heard of this.
No, when I read your description and I read it again, I was like, now it does ring a bell.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It's a French film.
Yeah.
and Turtles Heroes is what you might. And it was shown at I think I went to see it at the Whitgift. It's a good film, and it was a big film. It did well at Cannes at the time in that year.
I say it sounds good. I must have seen it with you guys.
I'm pretty sure you've seen it. You'll have heard of it, because it was one of those big sort of French foreign films that we were. Oh, that sounds interesting.
As I read the plot, I was like, oh, it does bring massive bells. That.
Yeah, good film. I remember it. Other People's Money was another one that was on that day. Yeah,
Danny DeVito movie. Never really liked it.
No, don't think I've ever seen this one. Corporate raider buys up shares in an undervalued company and falls in love with the founder's son, lawyer, stepdaughter. So, let the battle begin. City of Hope. Don't know. Intersecting tale with a multitude of characters living lives which, in one way or another, revolve around an old apartment block scheduled to be demolished.
Doesn't sound like the sort of thing I would have been watching.
No, it sounds to me like Batteries Not Included.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, it does actually.
On the same day, there was Shaking the Tree.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, a crowd of guys in their 20s spend most of their time hanging out. It's Christmas time in the early 90s, and the guys all begin to think it's about time they went about their lives without the comfort of the diner. It sounds like an episode of Friends.
It really does, actually, that. Interesting to watch that back and see if it is.
Yeah, but it is. I bet Chandler's in it, in the background or something. 22nd of November, there was Point Break.
Big film, wasn't it, that, as it turned out?
Oh, yeah, it was a big film at the time, wasn't it? It was a big old action hit. Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes, of course. I forgot they were in it. Yeah.
They're the original gang that he catches in. He shoots.
That's right,
They shoot Flea through the foot, I think.
That's
Andrew
right.
Cade is one of them, there's lots of... I think we were all sort of impressed with the Steadicam and the use of camera work and stuff.
Right.
It's quite like in your face, the camera work, I think, in this. There's lots of... But because they rob banks as the presidents, don't they?
Dead presidents. That's right. Yeah. With the masks.
Do you like it?
Don't they? I wasn't struck on it so much at the time, although it isn't actually. I've watched it not recently. Actually, I watched it. We're going back now. Lockdown has changed time for everyone, but I watched it some time ago, and I thought it was all right. I thought it was just because it's like if you're into surfing and stuff, it's very much a surfy dude movie. A little bit under the hood. It's got Gary Busey's in it. And he was in The Big Wednesday, wasn't he? And there's a couple of links to there's a couple of links to the kind of the big surf movies, and surf movies weren't in of itself weren't a big genre that would be popular in the UK at the time, really. No. But it had good-looking people in it, looking good-looking. Keanu Reeves was very much a bankable star and good-looking at the time. Patrick Swayze, of course, and Patrick Swayze has that kind of surfer dude look about him, which is going to make him very popular. And it was actually pretty good. What was very good, though, was the direction, which was really astoundingly well paced. And like you said, and there was so much camera movement, it was really refreshing to watch. That is something that is very, very unique about Point Break at the time, when you compare it to the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I seem to remember enjoying it at the time. It's a good cinema experience, I remember. That was all
good.
Right. Yeah. Same day, Switch. A sexist womanizer is killed by one of his former lovers and then reincarnated as a woman. Blake Edwards film.
It's not good.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think I've ever seen it, and I don't think I ever want to, really. No.
Blake Edwards at this point, was he 190 by this point, I think?
It was.
A very young Ellen Barkin in there who, she's a striking looking woman back then. Last thing I saw her in was Ocean's 13, I think. I don't remember she was in that. I don't rate this at all, and it sounds like a crap idea, and I don't remember seeing it at all. And the video cover had a half-naked woman dangling off a balloon, I think, or something, so I imagine it rented a bit because of that.
Probably. And it's got Blake Edwards, isn't it? And he did 10.
Yeah, he did quite a lot of saucy stuff around. There's always boobs in a Blake Edward movie, normally.
Yeah, true. There's always going to be some boobs. If you didn't fancy the Switch, you could have watched K2.
The first of the mountain movies.
True, yeah. I never watched this. It never appealed to me. I don't know what it is. Is it a climbing film or is it a thriller? What is it?
It's a bit of both, yeah. There was this, and then this was the time when shortly after this, at some point, we're going to get another one.
Cliffhanger.
It's Cliffhanger around. Is it around this time? I don't know if that might be a lot later, actually. Maybe that
might be
mid-90s,
I think.
But either way, this was the climbing thing where I think the idea is they're going to chuck someone off the mountain. I can't remember now. I honestly didn't watch it.
No, I didn't. There was also Hanging with the Homeboys.
Yeah, Hanging with the... But I never watched it, never heard of it.
No. 4 young friends spend one crazy Friday night on the streets of Manhattan that quickly turns into a night they'll never forget.
Yeah.
No.
Sounds like that Scorsese movie where that guy has one crazy night in New York, which is a night he'll never forget.
After Hours,
yeah, which is a great film, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes well, if it goes wrong, it also sounds like the what's that Christian Slater, Cameron Diaz one, Violent.
Yeah.
Violent people, violent things, or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, that one as well.
Yeah.
There's been other ones like that. There's also the Two Jakes.
Yeah.
Sequel to Chinatown.
Yeah. Not good.
You a fan of the Two Jakes?
No, I didn't like it. The novelty of it being directed by Jack Nicholson, I don't think has directed a lot, if not much more than that. But, why did they need a sequel to Chinatown? I don't think they did they?
No, that's what I put. Did anyone want this sequel? I don't. Were people crying out for another Chinatown? Chinatown's great.
Yeah, Chinatown was it like a 70s neo-noir, wasn't it, type thing,
yeah,
really?
Very much so, yeah.
So what are you going to do with that? Are you going to make it less noir-y or more noir-y? I don't know. There's nowhere for it to go.
No, you didn't. It didn't need it. It was a perfectly good little story in and of itself.
Yeah, he put the knife at the other nostril this time.
Yeah, both of them. That's why there's two.
Yeah, I don't remember it being very good, and I don't remember it getting very good critical reception either.
No, I don't think it did. It's almost like sort of Godfather 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in that kind of space, I think, where people didn't really want it. No one wanted it.
No.
29th of November, there was Hot Shots.
There is.
There's a parody of Top Gun, which a talented but unstable fighter pilot must overcome the ghost of his father and save a mission sabotaged by greedy weapons manufacturers. Charlie Sheen, Cary Elwes. It's done by Jim Abrams, so it's one of the airplane Naked Gun people.
It is.
I remember going to the cinema to see this. It's okay. It's mildly amusing. I think Hot Shots Part 2 may have been funnier, though.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit funnier, and I think this one's it was jokes, machine gun jokes, really, wasn't it? And some it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall, isn't it? With the humour, some of the spaghetti's going to stick, and some of it ain't.
Yeah, I've linked there to the At Ease Men bit, which always makes me laugh.
It's funny. There's stuff like that's always good, but it comes thick and fast. But for some reason, and I don't quite know what it is, and maybe it's just me, but I'll always rewatch like Airplane 2, Top Secret, and I'll watch them.
Naked Gun.
Even the Naked Gun movies, yeah. And yet when it comes to these ones, which are pretty much the same kind of thing, I just don't find them as funny as the early ones. I don't know what it is about them. The jokes are the same sort of thing, the same setup. I think it's just you need a Leslie Nielsen and it doesn't have it. And I think that's a big gap for that. And, and I noticed there's a new Naked Gun movie coming out with Liam Neeson in.
I know. I saw the trailer.
Who's now dating Pamela Anderson.
What a world we live in.
I know. What a time to be
alive.
I don't eat beans. So anyway.
On that sort of thing, where you're saying those films, the only one I seem to remember liking, went to the cinema to see it, and I thought was quite good, was Loaded Weapon.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The Emilio Estevez one, which I thought was actually quite funny.
That's what I mean. They're none of them are not funny. They've all got. I just don't know what it is about the Airplane, and especially Airplane 2, but Airplane 2 and Top Secret. I could watch them over and over again. I never get tired of those jokes, and I could recite things from those films. But if you asked me to recite you a joke out of Hot Shots, I'm not sure I could. Apart from the odd one, maybe.
The At Ease Men. Yeah,
but then it's the same with the Police Academy movies. I remember Not on Broccoli. I remember that for some reason, but I don't remember much else.
Yeah, someone get a proctologist.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah, weird.
Yeah. If you didn't fancy a bit of a laugh, you could have gone seen The Indian Runner, a late 1960s tragedy of a policeman and his Vietnam veteran brother, directed by Sean Penn.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
No, I've never seen that. Proof, the life of a blind photographer who is looked after by a housekeeper is disrupted by the arrival of an agreeable restaurant worker. I love that. Agreeable, he's all right. So I saw the poster for this. It rang a bell, but I might have just seen it in the videos. But it's got Hugo Weaving and Russell Crowe.
Yeah, it's probably quite good. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, maybe. All I Want for Christmas. There was also that. A brother and sister attempt to bring their divorced parents back together for Christmas. That's just going to be on the Christmas channel now, isn't it? That never-ending Christmas film channel what you get starts up in November. It
is, and every other variation. It's like that sort of idea is the Pac-Man of movies.
Yes.
There's a million different variations. All I Want for Christmas, Please Come Black Daddy, Everything's Forgiven, Mum and Dad Get Back Together. It's just there's tons of them. It's the Pac-Man equivalent.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Big Gulper, Hop Gobbler, all the rest of them.
Yeah, you don't want to watch Gobbler. Big Gobbler, that's not a Christmas movie.
Big Gobbler for Christmas.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I understand the connection, but okay, we'll put it on.
Okay, well, how about Muncher? No, that's just as bad.
Even worse. Muncher versus Gobbler. I don't think anyone's ready for that.
No, not since Mega Shark versus Terror Crocodile.
Terrapin.
Terrapin. Oh dear. If you didn't fancy going a nice film for Christmas, then there was always Iron Maid. This sounds quite interesting. In Corinth, a dying town 15 miles from Pittsburgh, one evening a Japanese businessman who wanted to tear down the closed iron mills to build an amusement park is found half dead in his mill. Bellboy Barry admits to have done it. I'd like that because we're supposed to know who Bellboy Barry is. In self-defense, Chief Rule interrogates him and Sugito's young wife and business partners, but it takes a while until he gets through the maze of apparently contradictory statements.
Jeff Fahey, intriguing, that.
Bridget Fonda. Never heard of it, but sounds interesting, and I might actually give that a watch. It sounds like a bit of a sort of neo-noir, middle America, small town type thing.
And Fahey and Fonda sounds like a kind of paint that would be really, really good and reliable.
Would it be something to paint your miniatures with?
It's like more like Farrow and Ball. Farrow and Ball, the paint, which was obviously the duo before Cannon and Ball came about was Farrow and Ball, wasn't it? This is like Fahey and Fonda paint. You can sort of see it.
I could see that, yeah.
Or a funeral home.
Yeah, or, solicitors.
Solicitors, Fahey and Fonda.
Accountants, yeah.
No win, no fee. No fee, no win. I think it's better.
No fee, no win. No, money down. Work for free.
Pipe down there, monkey.
Work for free, no money down. They got this all wrong. And there you go. That's it for TV and film. What a bunch. It's not a stellar month, is it?
No, Point Break maybe, and Hot Shots probably. Maybe some highlights.
Toto the Hero is good. That is a good film.
Yeah.
I'll give that a bit of a shout out. That's about it, really. Yeah, there we go. And the Fisher King. I like the Fisher King too.
Fisher King.
Right, we're going to go away, take a break again, because we need it. We'll come back. We still have two more pugilistic games to get through. Stick with us. Ah!
The novel Escape from the Commodore 64 by David Hearn is out now. Growing up in the 80s is a chore for Sarah, who feels misunderstood by her parents and badgered by Reese, her bothersome brother who incessantly prattles on about his treasured computer games. When Reese tells her one of the games tried to pull him inside the computer, she laughs off his fanciful fib. She waggles the joystick to disprove his fairy tale and is pulled into the computer. Now trapped in games she'd never had any interest in playing, how can she possibly beat them? With the help of feisty Nell, another trapped player, can Sarah find her way back home, or is it game over? An evil madman, a hostile planet, bloodthirsty robots, a never-ending throng of karate experts, and relentless digital soldiers will do their best to ensure Sarah never escapes. Available from Amazon and all good online retailers, find out if there's a way out of the beige bread bin of betrayal for Sarah in Escape from the Commodore 64.
And we're back. We're back with two more games. More games for November, December, whenever they were, 1991. The first one, let's get into the first one. Graham, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Coin-Op.
Ooh.
Yeah, indeed. The last time we had the misfortune to look at Turtles games was back in episode 175. We had the awful NES port thing that saw us going down sewers with terrible platforming. And everything about it was awful. It was all dreadful, wasn't it? Dreadful. Anyway, we're back again with the wisecracking, weapon-wielding, pizza-loving turtles in the form of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Coin-Op. This was £10.99 and scored a rather sedate 74% in the magazine.
Oh.
Now, I'm just going to read out a big chunk from the wiki here because I didn't quite realise how big an arcade this was. Right?
Okay.
So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles released in Japan as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Super Kame Ninja, Europe as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, a 1989 beat-em-up game developed and published by Konami for arcades. The arcade game was a blockbuster hit, especially in North America, becoming Konami's highest-grossing arcade game. Konami was unable to keep up with high demand, so they outsourced additional US manufacturing production to Dynamo Corp. By early April 1990, Konami had sold over 20,000 arcade cabinets internationally outside of Japan, including over 14,000 cabinets in the United States, where it became the biggest arcade hit since Double Dragon. By early May 1990, the game had sold 25,000 arcade cabinets in America and Europe, with more units still in production to meet continued demand. Time. In North America, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the highest grossing upright cabinet on the Replay arcade charts throughout 1990, from January through spring, summer and autumn to December. During November and December, weekly coin drop earnings averaged $163 per cabinet. It ended the year as the highest grossing dedicated arcade game of 1990 in the United States, and it won a Diamond Award from the American Amusement Machine Association, the AAMA, for sales achievement in 1990. The game was also a major hit in Europe, particularly the United Kingdom, where it is one of the top 4 highest-grossing arcade games during early 1990. On Hong Kong's Bon Deal chart, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the top-grossing dedicated arcade game from December 1989 to January 1990. In Australia, the game was a record-breaking arcade hit in 1990, with high earnings during its first 6 months on the market, which was unusual for licensed arcade games, which typically disappeared after several months. In Japan, Game Machine listed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on their September 1st, 1990 issue as being the 4th most popular arcade game for the previous 2 weeks. That's massive. I mean, it sold loads. I'm like, I think I've seen it. I don't think I ever played it, though, weirdly.
No. That is huge.
But yeah, clearly a monster hit in the arcades. A year later, this was in 1990, this was ported to the NES. And then the following year, it was ported to the Amiga, Amstrad ST, C64, DOS, and Spectrum. And there was actually a port to the Xbox 360 in 2007. So the C64 version was published by ImageWorks, and the original Konami development was ported to the system by Probe Software. Probably the most talented coding house still working on the C64 by this point, I think. We've been impressed with Probe stuff recently. I've not always liked it with them, but impressed technically. I couldn't find any names for the C64 version, though. Despite looking around, there's just nothing listed. The Spectrum and Amstrad version were done by Dave Simmons and Doug Townsley. I don't know if they had anything to do with the C64 version. Somebody does. If anyone knows, let us know, because I don't know. I couldn't find anything. And I looked. The manual for this starts with the story so far. April O'Neil is not only the best TV news reporter in town, but also she's the only news reporter in New York that has been kidnapped by the evil Foot Clan and lived to tell the tale. You did save her in Turtles, didn't you? No, I didn't, because I didn't play it very much. It was rubbish. Not only that, but to prove just how individual she is, she's been kidnapped by the foul Foot Clan yet again, and only the hard-backed half-shell heroes can save her. Or can they? The dateline is now, the place is New York, and the player must choose their favourite turtle with which to rescue the kidnapped April from a burning building infested with a carbuncle of foul foot. Weird sentence. Not only that, but you've got to go on to find and defeat the shifty sidekicks Bebop and Rocksteady before going on to take out Krang and finally confront Shredder at the Technodrome. There you go. Well, I don't know what any of that means. It's a different language. It's words being used in ways I don't understand.
I don't understand.
But, that's the story. It's a multi-load disc. I tried disc and cartridge. I definitely recommend the cartridge version, although I did find the multi-load in this version wasn't terrible. It's all right. Just the cartridge version just makes it all more immediate, just there. So it's good. The game loads. We get a nice title screen of the 4 turtles. There's a jolly enough little tune. It's all right. Before switching to the character select screen. Here you have an image of all the turtles in like little panels, and you can just move your joystick left or right to choose the one you want to play as. They're all grayed out apart from the one you've chosen, so that's quite a nice little touch. Now, the game says, and people said, and I've seen the image, that you can play with 2 players, not at the same time. This doesn't have multiplayer. It has, one after the other play this. I couldn't get it working. I couldn't get the option to pick 2 players. It says you press F1 and F3. I tried. I don't know where you press it, but it just wasn't happening. So maybe you need 2 joysticks in. I tried that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I couldn't find it. So I played this in one play. Okay. Anyway. And that is one of the first things you notice about this game. The arcade was a big 4-player multiplayer smash, sort of, all 4 turtles on screen. It's a belt scroller fight, this is why it was really popular. This has sort of shrunk it down to a single player. Okay. So that's the first thing you kind of need to sort of take on board. But once you've chosen your turtle, the first level loads in. Now the game's structured quite oddly. There are 5 sections to the game, but each one is broken up into sub-levels. Some have only 1, some have 3. It's odd. Some have 2. So there's no rhyme or reason to each bit. There's 5 sections though. And this game does actually include all the levels from the arcade game. So in one format or another, which is good to see. What we don't get, though, are the animated intros and cutscenes from the arcade game. So there's none of the sort of interstitial bits of seeing the burning building and jumping off, we'll save you, April, whatever they say, and things like that, and cowabunga and all that kind of. It just kind of starts. But most of the things are present from the arcade. Most things, we'll see. So scene 1 sees us rescuing April from a burning building, and pressing fire gets us into the hot action. So as I know, it's a belt scroller game. Okay, well, we saw one of these last week, Final Fight, and it was not good. Okay,
no.
So you control one of the turtles, and you're up against a parade of various enemies to fight and take out. It's a belt scroller game. First level, like the arcade, is a burning building. The game window itself takes up about 2/3 of the screen, kind of across the middle. The bottom, I'm not sure. It's got minimal UI at the top. There's a big logo for the game in the middle for whatever reason. Then on the left is your score, number of lives, and your energy bar. And they're in a box in the top left. There's also one for player 2 on the top right. I didn't get it working, so who knows? But there is a box there for player 2. And I don't know why it's on the same screen when you can't play as 2-player. I get why you can't, but it's it is what it is. So the view for this is a standard belt scroller view, slightly up and sort of looking down from the sort of top right. It's that kind of, Renegade, Double Dragon, Final Fight. It's that view. And that's kind of how you see this. Everything slopes from sort of top right to bottom left. Your turtle comes on from the left. And I got to say, it's a decent turtle sprite, easily recognizable. And whichever turtle you pick, you use the appropriate weapon as well. So they're all individual. They've all got the right weapon. That's good. Controls for this are relatively simple. Joystick to move around the world, up, down, left, right. Fire button does a basic attack in front of you. It'll do one of three. It'll do either a kick, a punch, a sort of swipe, or it's kind of an overhead swipe, or a swipe with the thing. It'll do an overhead swipe. You can't pick which one. It'll just do one of them. Down and fire does a small little jump up and a sort of swipe attack, kind of handy. If up and fire does a vertical jump, but it's the up diagonals you want to do, because up diagonals and fire, you'll jump vertically and then do a flying kick forward, and you'll need that. You'll use it a lot through the game.
Yeah, you will.
In fact, it's just the best move. Enemies come running on from the right at the start, and obviously from later on they'll come up from the left as well. And in typical belt scroller fashion, you got to take them out, kill them, knock them out a few times, and then they sort of disappear in a puff of smoke. The game itself locks the playing area. It's a bit different to the arcade. It doesn't continuously scroll as you push. You kind of run along. It'll say hurry. So almost like Golden Axe style. It'll say hurry up, and you sort of run along. The game will scroll along a little bit, then it'll lock in place, and then the enemies will come on, and you'll fight them in a sort of set area. And you have to kill all the enemies in that set area, however many come on, before it allows you to scroll onwards. You do get a sale by up to 3 enemies at a time, so that's good to see. You can get nice mixes. They get variety as it goes on, and there are a few, like I said, there's a few variations on the enemies. There's the purple ones. They're all kind of ninja fodder. The purple ones generally general cannon fodder. They might do a jumping kick at you, or they might come and try and punch you or kick you. The silver ones, or grey, depending on what your screen looks like, they could be armed with knives and swords. So knives, they'll throw knives at you. The swords ones will come up and swipe at you. There's brown ones, brown ninjas. May have guns, hammers, all kinds of stuff. And later on in the game, you find enemies with spears, bombs that they'll sort of come up running above their head, which is quite funny, and throw them at you. And there's even boomerangs, ones with boomerangs, which they'll throw and they'll sort of boomerang back. And you kind of, you've got to get out of the way of those. There are also little droids that attack you, which is quite funny because they come and grab you and hump your leg. That's what it looks like to me. Like little sort of, horny dogs, horny sort of Jack Russells. They come up to you, and you have to sort of waggle your joystick. You'll get grabbed as well by the enemies, and it'll hit you. You have to waggle your joystick, press the hammer, the fire button to get rid of them. These are mixed up in a variety. So you need to prioritize which one you're going to take out first. Some need more than one hit to take down. Usually the purple ones just one hit. The brown ones can take up to 3. The silver ones are a couple. But it's they'll come at you, and the droids will be coming on there little, so you kind of got to work out with them as well. So Sweeney sword, but one may be coming up behind you. It's that kind of belt scroller combat. At the end of most sub levels, you'll face off against a decent sized boss. In the range from robots. They can. So the first one is you'll get a robot come on. A couple of robots. They can electrify you. Then there's the big turtle sort of enemy characters. I don't know the names, but it's Bebop and people like that. But they're big sort of like warthogs, and they'll come on with guns or knives and stuff, and you got to hit them and beat them up and things like that. Typical sort of end level bosses, and they're okay. They're quite, everything's fine. The first level sees you going through the burning building. The second part has you in a burning room facing off against hordes of enemy, kind of like a sort of a horde mode, which is just stuff coming on as you rescue April from the burning building. She's there in the background tied up. You do that. You're out onto the street. You get a little interstitial because this is section 2. It'll say, right, yeah, let's go get Shredder or something. You're making your way after Shredder through the streets. This leads you down into the sewers. You climb down a manhole before you back out into a car lot to make your way through. Scene 3, as you head into the secret factory by way of a freeway up above the houses. Get through that bit, then you're onto a skateboard where you get attacked by a couple of helicopters. This is a sort of constant scrolling level on the high road, and the other ninjas come on in skateboards as well. Physics goes out the window because you can jump up on your skateboard, you're all fine. It is what it is, but it's all right. The helicopter's firing you around, you've got to hit them quite a lot. Get past that. Scene 4, you're in a built-up warehouse area. which is only one level. You just get through that. Scene 5, we make our way into the Technodrome to face off against Shredder and Krang at the end, I guess. Make your way through all that. And you get a nice ending cutscene of the Technodrome exploding, which is quite good. And you can enter your name in the high score table, and you get a little scrolling message saying, were Krang and Shredder killed, or did they escape into another dimension or something? And that's it. What I will say, though, is you can enter your name to the high score table. This is one of the most tightest scoring systems I've ever seen. Like, I was playing it, and I was playing it for quite a while, and I happened to glance at my score, and my score was 563. I was like, that's weird. I was like, but killing one of the purple enemies gets you 1.
Wow.
1. Killing one. Yeah, it's like, oh, 1. It's really low scoring. It's like ridiculous. But it just made me laugh. I was like, well, I suppose so. What's the difference between 1 and 10 or 100?
It's arbitrary, really, isn't it?
It doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, 1. I was like, okay, well, there you go. So there are also pizza boxes that you can pick up along the way. These give you an extra life, so you want to grab them. Easy. It's standard belt scroller fare, this. Obviously, in the arcade, it's a lot more razzmatazz for 4 players. Here, we're just down to a single player. And there's a lot more enemies on screen in the arcade as well. I had a look at the arcade game. It's like about 6 or 7 or 8 enemies, plus the 4 turtles. It's chaotic. But we've not been blessed recently with much decent stuff in this genre.
No.
However, I actually I thought Probe have done a decent job here. Because the arcade game is a bit of a behemoth. There's a lot going on. There's no way they're going to cram all that. It's just not the sprites. It just can't be done. It's not arcade perfect. It's not close. It lacks the freneticism and multiplayer aspects of the arcade original, yes. And obviously that multiplayer is a big loss. Put that to a side, though, and play this as for a C64 belt scroller. And what you have here is a decent C64 version. It's fine. As noted, all the levels are here and the variety of enemies is clear to make out. I think most sprites are like 2 sprites high. There may be more. I don't know. The controls work well. They're easy enough. All the end-level bosses are there too, same as the arcade. The visuals are pretty solid throughout. They're not the best ever, but there's some nice detail in the background that sort of come over from the arcades, like Shredder on the TV in the store in the second level. That's straight out the arcade. There's the flames across the bottom of the screen in level 1, which are a nice touch. Rats running about in the sewers, for example. The environmental hazards are there too. There's the rolling ball down the stairs in level 1. There's manholes you can fall down in level 2. Lasers and stuff in the later levels. There's no glitching of sprites that I saw. No flicker, no slowdown. And having 3 enemies on the screen made for a nice bit of action as you strive to contain the different attacks coming at you. There's also music in every level with sound effects, which adds a lot. Different music for each level as well. That's always good to see. And keeps the action moving along. It's got the difficulty about right as well. I managed to make it somewhere in scene 3 on my first go. Felt the challenge on offer was pitched just right. Subsequent tries, I got a bit further, was better at handling the various enemies, and better at sort of knowing what controls. Mostly, you're just doing that vertical jump. But yeah, I don't know, Probe have done a decent job here. Some nice visuals, decent music, and above all, a playable belt-scrolling game. And I think that's, not to be underestimated. C64 is not the home for these kind of games, really. You're never going, because you just don't have enough sprites on screen. You're never going to get all the bells and whistles from the arcade. What you do get, is a perfectly playable port of the coin-op original. I'll take that any day of the week. Maybe I'm in a more forgiving mood for this. I don't know, because of Final Fight last week or the other week. But maybe that's what it is. But I thought this was, 74%, maybe, could have it's better than WWF. That's what I will say. And so I had a decent time with this. I thought this was all right. It just, if it had 2-player mode and maybe dropped one of the enemy sprites, maybe, I don't know, maybe that would have been a sacrifice worth doing. I don't know. But it doesn't, you have what you go. It is a bit of a loss, but I did enjoy my time with this more than I expected to. I thought this was all right. What did you think?
It's better than average, I think. I think that's what I'll say. It's a better than average conversion. Some nice graphics in here. Decent sprites. The gameplay was okay. I'm a fan of the side-scrolling beat 'em up. This is, the classic C64 shuffle scroll, but it was playable enough. I think what this suffered from was the C64 itself.
Yeah.
Because the fighting was okay for what it was on a C64, but it wasn't anything amazing. The moves did seem a little bit arbitrary. I played as the one that's got the long pole, the fighting staff, whatever. And the moves just felt a bit sluggish, and I don't know. I ended up just jump kicking all the time, and you can actually work your way through an entire level doing that, because I did.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
But if you could do that. There's a number of games where you can do that, I suppose, really. I think ultimately, there's a decent fighter in here. I think it just suffers from C64ism. But if you can put that to one side and some of the little quirks, at least there's more fighters on the screen. The pace is better. The sound effects and the music are okay. I wasn't sure the music suited it when it first started. I don't know why it isn't a version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but all right, whatever.
The in-game music is better than the title screen music.
Yeah, it is. But it sort of drove the action of the game, and it was sort of, with the fire at the bottom, it felt like it had a little bit of, pizzazz. It felt okay.
Life,
It did. It had a bit of that. The number of enemies that it had on the screen worked okay for me. It didn't put me off. I was working my way across the screen. I ended up just jump kicking most of the time anyway. It all worked. It's not the worst game of this type. In fact, probably, weirdly, one of the better ones of this type. And I think because it's aiming to do what it sets out to do. We've said before that there's many of these games that are trying to emulate an impossible arcade on the C64. And we've seen that time and time again. And it's not possible. There's simply, Final Fight is not an arcade you can transanimate, objectify, whatever it was that term we used earlier. You can't do that to the C64. And we said, but better not to release it than release something that's crap. I think that what they've done here is they've made a C64 version of the arcade, not a conversion. It's a version of it. And in that sense, it uses the C64 sprites and strengths to its advantage. Is it perfect? No, but it's certainly not the worst we've played. And I actually quite enjoyed playing it as well for the time that I did. It's maybe missing 2 players. I don't know. It seems odd that it would almost be there, but not. But I found myself thinking this isn't actually that bad. It's just one of those games you need to play a bit, because I think initially your reaction's a bit like, what? But if you look at this as not a conversion of an arcade per se, not like direct, take everything off the arcade and put it in C64, it's look at the arcade and make a C64 version of it, then they didn't do a bad job. And I quite liked it for that. So, like I said, better than average, not the worst I've ever seen. But a little bit hard done to in the score department, because I'd put this in the 80s at least, and I certainly would have dropped down. This is way better than WWF, and that got 90. But of course, this is probably not as much cash in the envelope. Maybe, I don't know, but I think it's the better ones of these types. So
yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Much better than the other Turtles game as well. Much better.
That goes without saying.
Yeah, way better. There we go. We quite like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The coin-op, it's a decent C64 version. What more could you ask for? Let's move on to our final game for this week. We're still in fighting mode.
Yeah.
Graham, is it good fighting or bad fighting? Tell us all about the life of a pit fighter.
Well, it's fighting. So this is Pit Fighter, published by Domark. Copyright was Atari, though, or Tengen, as we've seen. Of course, this is an arcade. I say big arcade. We're going to look at the arcade in a little bit, but because this conversion is, brace yourself, from Tiki Software.
Yay!
Yeah,
I always cheer.
But now, for reasons that this has actually got a coding credit, because a lot of times the Tiki Software games have not done that, but this one has. This was coded by Tony Love. Oh yeah. Now he goes on to code a game called Gunfighter, or had coded a game called Gunfighter, which we've never looked at. I probably never will. I don't know. It's this one. It's not a Zap. It wasn't in Zap.
No.
The graphics here are by the aptly named Richard Brown, and the musician here is Jens Christian Haus. Now Jens Christian Haus, or Hus, is a very he was ex-demo scene, well, still is demo scene, I think. He's a member of the Vibrants. He's actually an exceptionally good musician for the C64, so I don't think this is what we class as his final moment. He's actually got a comment on the Lemon page under his music, which says, one of the last game projects I worked on through the member in Scotland, Deke, I made contact with a guy who managed to get me a few orders from the software house Domark. The music was ordered for Pit Fighter. It was probably 1991. I remember I made an extra effort of squeezing as many chords and effects into the 2 voices of the in-game tune as I could to make it sound like many more voices. So there's a little bit of blah, blah. And JCH is this good. If you look him up on Sid Play or any of those, he's done hundreds of tunes to the C64. He's very, 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 done a lot of stuff, loads of demo stuff. It's good. So the music, okay, I'll say this right at the get-go. I didn't think it was that bad. And the sound effects, okay, probably the only thing good. This came out on arcade, obviously, originally, but this also latterly came out on DOS, SNES, Genesis, Amiga, Atari ST, Sega Master System, the Commodore 64, of course, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC, the Lynx, the Game Boy, and finally out on the Ant Stream in 2021. What is it? I hear you say. Well, it is in fact a 1990 fighting game developed by Atari and released as an arcade video game. Obviously, the Japanese release was published by Konami, though, and home versions were published by Tengen, just to make it all confusing. The game uses digitized live actors captured through a blue screen process where the various poses and moves were performed by actors in front of a video camera. The game's on-screen character animation is replayed of the actual footage, so it's not rotoscoped, it's actually digitized footage of them, which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the first time it had been done at this point in the arcade. Second time. Pit Fighter is the second fighting game to use digitized sprites after Home Data's Rikai Doshi, the Chinese Exorcist, which I'd never heard of.
I have never heard of the Chinese Exorcist.
Apparently. Pit Fighter features 3 playable players or fighters. Buzz, who was played by somebody called Bill Chase, is an all-American big and strong ex-professional wrestler. There's Ty, played by Mike Williams, and we have to say played by because they were digitized in the arcade, an African-American agile kickboxing champion, and Kato, played by Glenn Frachelli, and a Japanese-American quick third degree black belt. Quick third degree? I don't know. There are 8 main unplayable opponents. Several of these characters share the names of the actors who played them. When you say several, you mean none. Because I don't believe there was ever a person called Executioner. Anyway, there's Executioner, Southside, Angel, CC Rider, Mad Miles, Heavy Metal, Chain Man Eddie, Masked Warrior, and then other non-playable characters include Knife Woman, Knife Man, Finale Woman 2, Big Kid in the Crowd, and Crowd himself. And they've all got actors' names, which I'm not going to go through. Atari sold 5,500 units. Arcade units in the US and 1,000 in Ireland. In North America, it was the top-grossing upright arcade cabinet on the Replay arcade charts in October 1990, and weekly drop earnings averaged $413.75, which seems low per arcade during November to December. In Japan, Games Machine listed Pit Fighter in its January 1st, 1991 issue as the 7th most successful table arcade unit of the month. Arcade unit of the month. I know.
7th.
I know. Get that 7, eh? Oh, all 7 of them. Wow. Okay. And so to the C64 version then. Some okay Euro SID style music will welcome you from the Vibrance again. And by the way, the simple logic of this game is it's a fighting game where you must fight and select a range of opponents to win, and that's it. That's the game. It's a fighting game, one-on-one fighting game. Mm-hmm. So like I said, so there's the music by, Euro style music by JCH, along with some badly redigitized imagery from the arcade, including the 3 players you can select from, Buzz, Ty, and Kato. All here resplendent in their blocky brownness. Yes, this game should also be known as digitized brown. Even the logo has a digitized brown quality to it, which is great, isn't it? Brown and pink and brown. You'll also get some credits and a high score table with an appearance of what looked to me like Lord Humongous's brother Harry. So Harry Humongous, isn't it? All right, Harry. You'll want to start things, I hope. And so you'll get the player select screen brought to you in digitized brown with hard to read medium res green and white text on purple. The kind of colorization that makes you feel nauseous, Adrian, I thought. Anyway, choose your player. Good. A second player can join if they want to, depending on exactly how stupid you want to look in front of your friends. A mini interstitial then pops up saying show no mercy and the number of the match, which will be 1 at this point. And then the game appears. Hold your breath now. Around this time, if you paid for this, you'd be kicking yourself and cursing, I'll wager. The screen fidget scrolls into view with some kind of grayed out digital crowd fidgeting around in spectacular tomb-framed animated horror. Eventually, this will settle, and you'll see you and your opponent looking like 2 pink hams on legs dressed in red spandex pants. It is not a good look. Oddly, though not unexpectedly, the medium res of the C64 reduces the digitized burl and gives our fighters a few more pixel pounds around the middle. Don't expect even poor digitized characters or animations here. No. Now, this is a battle of the C64 hams. On the left and right of the screen are now 2 grey blocks with writing overlaid. I think they're meant to be pillars of some kind. At the top are more grey 2-framed repeated crowd people, if that's what you can call them. And overlaid on that is the UI with the player 1 and 2 stats shown regardless of whether you've chosen 2-player mode anyway. There's also a number of knockouts, some kind of dollar value indication for no reason whatsoever, and an energy bar for you, presumably, at least at this point. At the bottom of the game displays the time, here shown as match time and total time, I think. It's a tad vague, and it's not really any point to it anyway. When you start the fight, an additional energy bar appears under yours. Again, you need to assume this is the opponent's. Not that you'd know anything about them, because they're never named anywhere on screen, and you don't know who they are.
No, true.
The floor in the game is made up of thick, striped brown raster bars, at least in level 1, to give the illusion of depth, I think, brown depth, which is not a good concept.
Deep brown.
Adrian, let me ask you this. Has there ever been a more depressing-looking visual for a fighting arena? A deadly grey, badly animated crowd and a stripy brown floor. Shite. That's the word for that. And so you fight, or at least that's what this array of ham-shaped pixels is meant to portray. There's an array of moves which we can describe, okay? So you've got, you can control this with the fire pressed, you can jump, you've got special move, jump kick, defend, punch, pick up, kick and duck. Without the fire press, you've got move up, left, right, left, down, and move right. You can double tap the joystick in the direction to evade. That's not a lot of great fighting moves in a game like this, is it, really?
Not
Think
really.
about it. There are other things you can do in this game as well. But like I said, the task is to defeat the 7 different fighters. There's bonus points you can get for certain types of knockout. There's various objects you can pick up along the way as well, including throwing stars, crates, kegs, and barrels. And in the 16-bit version, they get some extra stuff as well, which we don't get in the C64 version. So there's not a great deal of moves, and the different moves apply when you face in different directions. So there's different moves, but ultimately, there's not a great selection of moves. Not that it matters, really, in this. Doesn't matter, does it?
No.
So you can move or shuffle around the screen. You can move further into the screen and further away from the screen if you want to. There's not much point, really, because the perspective of you doesn't change. So
No,
it's it's kind of weird, really. And around the screen here and there, indeed, there's things you can pick up. Like I say, you can even pick up your opponent, throw them around and kick them when they're on the floor, mate, if you want to. Generally, these themes are all carried over from the arcade. Badly carried over, but carried over. There's a novelty to the dirty fighting, I suppose, that's enabled in this game. Not that it really means much, because that was one of the arcade's USPs, one of its only ones, apart from the digitized stuff. And the C64 version is rendered in crapo brown vision anyway, so what does it mean? It just means you're moving a ham around. Actually, performing any of the moves is more or less a random series of joystick twerks and direction moves with fire button. There's no skill really involved, although somebody said in the Lemon that there was. Someone notes, in fact, on Lemon that the arcade was just really designed to show off the digitized graphics and give you the illusion of enough control so that you wouldn't notice how utterly shit it was while you pumped coins in it. It's a clever trick to take that concept to its logical conclusion on the C64 and whittle down the graphics and controls to the point where the idea of free continues is abhorrent. I mean, that's clever to do that. That's real development skill to take a game that is actually reliant on you pumping coins in it and remove everything from it that makes you hate it even more when it's free. Crazy. The fact that you've paid 11 quid for this on the C64 already tells me that losing money isn't a factor for you, all said and done. You've already made a solid investment in the world of digitized brown, which is they're very grateful for. But I can't see how anyone is going to get the value for money tingles from this brown lump of a game. Buy remorse is a certainty, and I bet it still stings to this day if you weren't lucky enough to go and spend the $10.99 on this. So yes, this is another tiki turd arcade conversion. The problems, as we've seen before, don't start with the C64 version though. They start with the poor arcade. Yes, it has digitized graphics, which were a bit fancy. I looked at the YouTube video of it, and unique at the time maybe, but the arcade is a thankless coin eater with very little merit, save that one fact of its digitized graphics and the fact that you can fight dirty in it, which you wouldn't really do because you're never going to survive long. You just got to keep pumping in them coins. The conversion to the C64 should never have left the experimentation stage. In fact, I'm not even sure it did. Maybe it's still there. That someone called this finished and releasable is utterly astonishing to me. In every way, this was going to be bad. There are no strengths played to here. Badly redigitized graphics, so a photocopy of a photocopy. That never works out well, does it?
Nope, never.
All scanned in dirty brown. Passable music, I guess, and sound effects, maybe. But terrible mapping of the terrible arcade controls to the single button joystick of the C64 leaves this like some kind of ham-based fidgety fight scramble. Indeed, this has terrible graphics, so the arcade game's digitized players are reduced to badly animated hams that shuffle, flap, and hump around the screen, badly kicking and rubbish punching, sometimes picking up and throwing things or people with no real function that follows the form. Even getting the extra items to chuck out doesn't help. It's a mishmash of button mashing with ham and brown. It's like a shit Sunday dinner.
That you're trying to eat with your fists.
Yeah, it's mash, ham, and brown.
Absolutely. I've got gravy in between my fingers.
You may find yourself thinking, okay, the C64 isn't an arcade, so what did you expect? To that, Adrian, I say Bangkok Nights, Thai boxing, IK Plus, hell even Way of the Exploding Fist. They're good examples of the one-on-one fighters on the C64, with sufficient speed and dynamism to make it fun, and they have good graphics and sound. Now, yes, you might say, but they're not digitized graphics, but they're not in this either, are they? So
no,
it wouldn't have mattered, would it?
No.
Okay, this is a conversion of the arcade original, and so must it therefore, I suppose, rigidly mirror the errors and mistakes of that format. I mean, it's a license, and so maybe, by contract, it needs to look like it's licensed game, but this doesn't. So I don't get really that applies. On other more capable formats, it's more passable. The Amiga version, for instance, looks pretty much like the arcade. It's not far off. But the C64 monstrosity lacks anything good. It's all bad. It looks bad. It plays bad. It controls bad. It's bad. It's just bad. I mean, goodness me. Who the fuck is giving arcade licenses to the clowns at Tiki at this point? I mean, goodness me. Let's just take a quick look at their history, shall we? Their potshot history. Which we've got like Badlands, crap. Blasteroids, crap. Chase HQ, rubbish. Chubby Gristle, crap. Continental Circus, crap. Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters, crap. European Football Champ, crap. The Flintstones, crap. Pac-Mania, Passing Shot, Pit Fighter, crap. Scramble Spirits, crap. Shadow Warriors, awful. Terramex, crap. Tubin, that's not a great track record, is it? That's not.
Badlands wasn't too bad.
That's what I mean. Terrible. Like I said, but who is giving them these things to do? This is not a track record of quality conversions. This is a trail of conversion catastrophe. One stinking game after another. Now, I see there are mixed opinions for this on Lemon. Some people, like me, think it's bloody rubbish and should never have been released. Others, perhaps more forgiving or blind or both, give this game some credit for being as playable as you might expect, given all the parameters. I say this, and this is my kind of point, really. In December 1991, on a machine that, at this point in time, had been thoroughly documented and indeed had produced some great arcade conversions for over 5 or 6 years on and off. There really is only one reason to release something as shitty as this. We've seen Tiki demonstrate that they have no love for the games they're converting and releasing only the bottom line matters. I doubt this made much of an addition to the profits, though there were still a lot of C64s around at the time, but budget games are where the money is at in these later days of the machine, isn't it? So this is released to maximize the profit from every single possible opportunity and stream available. Every drop of juice is getting squeezed out of the orange here, with no one stopping and asking whether the juice, the C64, was indeed worth the squeeze. And I can tell you it wasn't. And all that's really been achieved here was another glove slap to the C64 legacy and no doubt many more frustrated and ripped off players. This game doesn't mask its contempt for the C64 gamers that remained with that system. It's just more shitty shovelware to rip off what consumers remained. No one wanted this on the C64. Nobody. Nobody wants to remember this. Nobody looks back with glee. This is a bad thing. This should never have been created, never have been released, and only shows utter contempt that Tiki had for the C64 in the first place. I think it's an absolute disaster area, and it will easily be a contender for the worst arcade conversion, I think, on the C64, certainly in this year's bread bins. It is utterly, utterly, utterly awful. Not even by accident is this worth playing. It is shit. So, and also, I mean, I played, by the way, for full clarity, I played the disc version, such as it was, and then I played a version which must have been a tape conversion for cartridge, I think. None of them were good or rubbish. But what about you?
I mean, it comes from a bad place. I couldn't stand the arcade of this. I never liked it. And seeing as the only thing it ever had going for it was the digitized sprites, which were never, ever going to make it to the C64 version, of course. Any hope of this being any good was very low because, shit in, shit out. Yeah. And you've used the word fidget. The word fidgety was invented for this game.
It really is.
If ever a word was like, look in the dictionary as a picture of this game. Fidgety sprites fight each other whilst fidgety scrolling tries to keep the action on screen whilst fidgety background characters fidget in a most disconcerting manner. It's what I got from this. It's just an overwhelming lot of fidgeting. It's not that fighting.
The comment on Lemon from Fidget McGee. I like this game.
You would, because to you it probably looks smooth.
Doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
Because he's fidgeting in time with it. It's like, it looks good. But it's just all things fidgeting in 2 frames of it's like, oh God, it's just dreadful. Awful. The actual fighting that is supposed to be going on is just dreadful. The whole vibe of this game has aged terribly as well. What does it say on the high score table? Let me have a look. What's the quote? The studliest pit fighters. It's like, well, a guy in a mask, a sort of burly sort of BDSM mask looks on.
There is a BDSM quality to that pit fighter arcade.
It's just grim. It's grubby. I can think of nothing good to say about this game. I cannot understand what they were thinking in trying to convert it. And then, I understand what they were doing in releasing it. Why not? I mean, to me, this is a footnote in history that will soon be superseded by Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, thank God.
Mortal Kombat comes along and takes this thunder and goes with it. Because Mortal Kombat was a good fighting game. Yeah. And it had the digitized sprites in it when it first came out. So so that just takes this and goes, no, stop it. It just piss off Pit Fighter. Thank goodness for that, because Mortal Kombat was fine and has gone on to produce some great recent fighting games. Pit Fighter's gone the way of the Domark, which is good. It's a grubby game. Grubby.
It
always feels
grubby.
Grubby. It's like there's something about this that's like it's snuck up out of a basement somewhere, and you're supposed to look at it and go, "Oh, it's a pit." And I guess that was the sort of thing they were trying to go for. Well, they succeeded, but that's not good because I hate basements and I hate things that creep out of basements. So back into it.
Everything looks like it's covered in peanut butter, doesn't it? In this game.
Yeah, it's just you just know how everything. You can. This is a game you can smell, and you know what it's going to smell like.
That's so true.
Just away with this. Away with it. It's just awful. And the C64 version, you can't. It's like it is. It's ham fighting. Ham on ham. You know, ham on ham on. It's a ham on the game.
It is. Two hams facing each other.
But they are shit. Brown, pink, and horrible. And just the lurching animations and stuff. And I just read the comments on Lemon. Fair enough if you got something from this. But I don't get it. I just don't. You can look at this and go, yeah, it's all right.
No, it's not possible.
No, go play. And it's not like they couldn't have done, we had to keep it like, okay, we couldn't do smooth animation. It's like, look, I've been spoilt by IK Plus and Usagi Yojimbo and all those, and even the Turtles game and, Target Renegade and Bangkok Knights and Last Ninja. There's these games like smooth, nice animations. And then you come away with this fidgety awfulness that stinks.
Fidgety awfulness. Absolutely right.
But, awful. Just dreadful. 56% it got.
It's incredible to me. It should have been in not even 10%. And if they'd have called it Ham Fight, I might have got behind it a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we made the joke, didn't we? Shit fighter, shit shiter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's too easy, isn't it? But yeah, it should have been. It is the pits, that's for certain. It's absolutely shocking.
Dreadful. We've not had a game that I've just thought was so awful for quite some time. We've played some crap, but this one just genuinely annoyed me. Ugh. Because I never like I said.
I feel dirty after playing it. I was washing my hands for a couple of hours, like, what's going on?
Absolutely. I was proper Lady Macbethin. I couldn't help myself. I was like, they won't come clean. They won't come clean. They won't come clean. And then I was like, for about an hour, I was like, what can I smell?
I can smell shit. I said that to my wife. I'm like, has the dog done a shit or something? I can smell it.
It's this game. This brownness coming out my speakers. Fidgety brown. No one wants that.
No.
There you go. Pit fighter. Rubbish.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe
we didn't like that.
We really did not. And that will be a candidate in the bread bins for sure.
Never brown our door again.
My dog did that once.
It did.
My mum thought someone had put cardboard up across the bottom of the door. She goes, someone kicked the window through the cardboard. Oh, that's not cardboard.
Oh my God, the dog's farted out a web.
It's just an awful thing. An awful thing. But still, more preferable to this game. There you go. That's it. That's it for this week. What did we look at? Well, we looked at WWF, which amazingly wasn't the worst fighting game this week.
So by a miracle now.
Yeah, it's
saying a lot. And it certainly didn't deserve 90%, that's for sure.
No, certainly didn't. Rugby, the World Cup, small and bitty. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is the coin up, which is decent version.
Yeah.
It's standout this week.
It's not a conversion; it's a version. I think a C64 version. And if you think of it like the way, I think you'll think it's it's a lot better than it looks.
Yeah, and then we have Pit Fighter, which is a terrible, terrible thing.
So shit.
So bad. There we go. Right, that's it. That's week 2 of that's November. Let's move to December.
November done.
Next week. Yeah. So next week we've got December. We've got 4 more games, obviously, coming up. What are those games? Those games are Battle Command, Round the Bend, Thunder Jaws. Why is it not Thunder Lips?
I'll probably end up calling it that.
You probably will. And something called Stack Up, which I'm going to guess is a puzzler.
Sounds puzzly, doesn't it? That
sounds sort of Tetris-y, puzzly, doesn't it? That one. God knows what Thunder Jaws is going to be like. I'm hoping for some shark action.
I'm praying it's not. It's got a crappy It's the sort of game that could be crap and have a really crappy name.
Round the Bend sounds like where Pit Fighter should have gone.
Where it came from, yeah.
Around the U-Bend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Battle Command is a big ocean tank thing or something.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it for this week. As said at the very beginning, the shout out, if you want to support us, you can do. If you want us to continue this, playing games like Pit Fighter, please do help. Because it's good for us. We have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Zapped to the Past. Ad-free episodes, get them early, join in on stuff. Especially we've got episode 200, bread bins coming up. Join in on all those. That's the podcast, that kind of thing.
Join us.
We've got Ko-fi, ko-5/Zapped to the Past. If you wish to donate there, that's great. Come and have a laugh on social medias when I post. I usually post up in the beginning of the week, and feel free to comment on that or come along and comment on the page on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. Always good. I think that's about it. Anything you'd like to add, Graham, on this week, next week, or anything in general?
No, I have this week battled hams for long enough. I'm just now thinking that maybe a game where you have to fight just to win a ham would be a very local, almost Cleethorpes style game. Remember years ago, I had this game design for that game called Kicking Cleethorpes, where it was the version of Final Fight, but down Cleethorpes seafront. Now I'm beginning to wonder whether one of those levels could have been like a bingo level where you're in the bingo hall, and when you kick some of the machines, you get hams and chickens, because that was years ago. That was the bingo prize, wasn't it? A bag of sugar and stuff like that, tin of beans.
It was.
You could have the bean lady. Remember the bean lady that harassed us about with that bag of beans?
The bean lady on the bus. Yeah,
exactly. She could be a boss. The bean bus lady. The bean bus bag. Bean bus. the bean bag bus lady.
Yeah, I'll do it. There you go. Yeah, you have to fight her. Yeah. She throws tins of beans at you.
Yeah, exactly. It writes itself, doesn't it? And all of those ideas, as crazy and stupid as they sound, are better than Pit Fighter.
Yes,
all of them.
All of them. I've got nothing else to add, so I think I'm going to say goodbye. It's been an interesting week. We'll be back next week. So as ever, I have been Adrian Mills.
And I have been Graham Raddings.
And you have been listening to Where Was Fun? We'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Zapped to the Past podcast. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the world of Commodore 64 games, as well as the music, films and TV from around the 1980s, driven, of course, by the issue of Zap 64 magazine published at that time. We will return with a whole new batch of games and stuff to talk about next week. Until then, if you want to listen to or download previous episodes of Zapped to the Past, and why wouldn't you, they can all be found on our website at zappedtothepast.com, as well as being available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, Audible, Player FM, and, well, pretty much anywhere where we can upload them. By the way, we do always love to hear from our amazing listeners, so if you'd like to contact us about anything in the podcast or beyond, you can do so by emailing us at zappedtothepast@gmail.com. We're also active on Twitter under @ZapTother, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and most social media platforms. Just search for Zapped to the Past and you'll find us. Oh, and if you like the podcast and what we're doing, please do like, share, review, rate us. It really helps. Something, apparently. The Zapped to the Past podcast is written and produced by Adrian Mills and Graham Raddings, and recorded at Flaky Bits 2.0 Studio. All opinions expressed are those of the writers, and while we indeed love Zap 64 magazine, the Zapped to the Past podcast is not affiliated with it in any way. Stay safe, see you next time, and remember, we play these games so you don't have to.